did your home? Hello and welcome to the European Athletics coverage of this indoor IFAM meeting in Gent. This is a wonderful competition that's been going for many years, and it's brilliant to see it elevated to this status in the World Athletics Indoor Tour and to have the opportunity to stream it here on European Athletics YouTube. My name is Hannah England. I used to run 1500 and 800 for Great Britain. I have now turned my attention to watching other people do athletics and absolutely love it. This meeting has been going for around about an hour already. There's been a really big pre-programme with lots of age group races. And now we're into the elite action, if you like, the main programme. And we're just having a look here at the shot put. There's a few multi-eventers having their chance to compete here today. We've already had a brilliant women's long jump competition. We're just filing through the latest results on that. It was a win for Pauline Hodema of the Netherlands with 6 metres and 57, and a brilliant personal best for Ruby Millett of Ireland. She came through in second place, 6 metres and 44 in the second round. These are just pictures of the women's shot put. Philippa Kitvan picked up third in the women's long jump in 6 metres and 30. All those live results will appear on the European Athletics website. Women's shot put is ongoing. It's great. We did see in camera shot just then brilliant athlete Noor Wits of Belgium. She is of course the reigning world indoor champion from last year. Had a few problems outdoors, but it's great to see her here today competing the shot put and the 60-metre hurdles, getting her indoor campaign off to a really good start. Early lead at the moment in the first round is with Noor Wits. Apologies, no, pushed down to second place. Elena De Frere is in the lead, but we'll just let them move through the rounds. So we are well into the third round now, I think, in this women's shot put. So field action at the moment with this women's shot put. It's been going for around about 15 minutes. Local time in Gent is just past 7 p.m. It really is an evening meeting here for all the athletes. The third round effort there for Laura van der Brand of 11 metres and 90. So good consistency backing up her second round effort. Joanne Lefugi is up next, 11.26 in the opening round. Slight dejection perhaps there from the Flemish athlete. She's in 6th place at the moment. Let's see if she can have any improvement on her 11 metres 26. Next up to throw is Noor Wits, the world indoor champion over the pentathlon. It'd be absolutely brilliant if we could get a Noor Wits Nafi Tiam battle going in Istanbul. Those European Championships coming up in around 26 days. Third attempt for Noor Wits, looking to improve on her 13 metres and 34 from the second round. 40 metres 43 is the best that Noor Wits has ever thrown indoors. But I imagine this is a bit of an exploration, doing a few events here in Gent for Noor Wits, just trying to figure out and tinker her way into this indoor season. 13.77 the mark for Noor Wits in the third round. Paraskiavula Thasivulu of Cyprus is up next. Foul in the first round, 13 metres and 1 centimetre in the second round. in 4th place at the moment, Thrasivulu. Adding a nice half a metre there in the 3rd round, 13 metres 51. Does stay in 4th place. Next up, Elena de Frère. 15 metres 45 in the 2nd round. 3-time national champion. Oh, just losing her balance there, falling out of the circle, giving it absolutely everything. You really want your armpit, your shoulder to be over that throwing board when you release the shot put. And Elena de Frère managing that, but unfortunately losing her balance. That will be no improvement. Which leaves this on to Jolien Maliga Bumquo, the final thrower in this 3rd round. No surprise, really, that this woman is holding the lead. She's the indoor and outdoor national record holder for Belgium. She threw as far as 17 metres last season, and it's just getting better as the season goes on. 17 metres 24 in the 1st round is sensational. But I like Elena de Frère before her. You can see Bumquo just hunting for that extra distance, giving it everything. I think when you open with 17 metres and 24, you can probably relax and just start to experiment with your technique. Kind of take the handbrake off if you've got a good effort in there. And that concludes the 3rd round of the women's shot put competition here in Gent. 8 competitors in total. I do think they will all get a full round of throws if they choose to do it. First track action in this main programme in the international section of the IFAM indoor meeting in Gent gets underway at 7:30 local time. That'll be with the women's 400, and then the action really comes thick and fast. I know we love to use that analogy in track and field, but 400 heats for women, then men, and then we've got 60-metre heats for both sexes as well. They'll be looking to advance into the finals. We'll then have some 60-metre heats. A 300-metre event for women, a little bit different for some of the women athletes to gauge their effort over an alternative distance, hopefully have a bit of fun with that. And then we really move into a bit of the endurance section of the meeting. 800s for both genders, 1500, then the finals for the short sprints, and closing with a 3,000 metres for men. That's due to start at 10:10 local time. So this whole programme will take around about 3 hours from now. Really high quality fields across all the disciplines. Particularly excited to see Reece Prescott in the men's 60 metres. I checked on the system, he has logged in, he has picked up his number. So that would be great to see a sub-10 performer sprinting down the middle of this oval. Hopefully get our first look at Reece Prescott and the rest of that men's field at 8 o'clock local time. Around about 50 minutes to go before that. They will do a reshuffle, perhaps that's what's taking the time with this women's shot put. I think they were already pretty much throwing in order. Obviously, like reshuffle, but perhaps between Thrasivulu and Wits. They were throwing 5th and 6th. They should now throw the other way round if they're going to go by the order of the rankings in the competition so far. That looks like Zita Gussens, local athlete, just taking her time. Perhaps the system's indicating we've had a pass from Zita Gussens, and this might be Nina Denolf. (11:45). Denolf's personal best coming into this competition. She's done 10 metres and 58 in her opening round. That is a valid throw in the fourth round for Denolf. So there is a try event going on within some of the events here today in Ghent. It seems to me as though the events are also open. If you want to just be an outright shot putter in this competition, you can do it, where there are other women here combining those scores together in a little bit of a triathlon. Can you call it a triathlon? Does that imply there's a bike and a swim? There's no bike and swim. There's no plot twist here for the likes of Norwitz. It is traditional track and field disciplines. But these athletes are taking their opportunity to compete multiple times. So this is Joanne Lefug. 11.95 in the third round. She just didn't really get behind that throw. It was a bit passive. Perhaps could tell that her timing was off. So no improvement on the 11 metres and 95. It was a pass from Laura van der Brand. So perhaps a few of these athletes choosing to not do all 6 rounds. They might be some of the ones that are involved in this triathlon competition, saving some of their energy for later on. This is Paraskiavula Thrasivulu of Cyprus. She's in 4th place at the moment. Did add a great half a metre in that third round. Norwitz holding 3rd place with 13 metres 77. 13.51 the best for Thrasivulu so far. This could be the first indoor competition for Paraskiavula Thrasivulu. Just finding her feet here in the circle, finding a rhythm. And that has come up as a nice little improvement. 13 metres 69. Just chipping away at that gap between herself and Norwitz. Norwitz up next. No, that doesn't look like Norwitz. That's Elena de Frère. So we've got a pass in this 4th round from Norwitz, perhaps saving her energy for some events later on. I guess if you feel like you've reached your maximum in 3 rounds and you've got multiple competitions, and of course 3 rounds is all they would get in a multi-events competition, so giving yourself those full 6 probably isn't an accurate preparation for a multi-event competition. Elena de Frère, 15 metres 45 in the second round, foul in the third, and 15 metres and 12 there for the local woman. No improvement. There's a big gap between Elena de Frère and this woman, Jolien Maliga Bumquo. 17 metres 24 in the opening round. I think that could be a new indoor national record. I apologise if I've got my stats wrong, but I had the indoor national record written down as 17.01. Bumquo already held that. And if she's managed to get herself out to personal best here in Ghent, that's a brilliant start to February for Bumquo. Let's see if she can add anything here in this 4th round. $17.32, no improvement. So we will whiz through the end of this women's shot put programme with a lot of women, I think, withdrawing or certainly passing that 4th round. I can only assume they've packed up their bags and they've headed off, perhaps to prepare for the 60-metre hurdles. This is Nina Denolf. Her best throw coming in the 1st round. 11 metres 45 personal best. 10 metres 58 so far. Denolf is wanting that throw measured. You can tell sometimes the athletes, when their timing's off and they're not proud of something, they will intentionally foul. I always thought perhaps that was just polite, just saying to the officials, don't worry, don't waste your time. And then speaking to more and more athletes, it seems to be that it's almost demoralising to have that low mark next to your name. You knew it was bad already. You'd rather not know quite how bad it was. No improvement for Denolf in the 5th round. 9 metres and 84, so she's still got that 10 metres and 58 as her best performance. Joanne Lillefug up next. 12 metres 42 her best. I can see that's another foul there, and there's just no oomph left in Joanne Lillefoog. I wonder if she's just frustrated. It was a foul in the 4th round and a foul again in the 5th round. 11 metres 95, still her best. Back round to Paraskevula Thrasivulu. Here's a woman that is finding her groove. Is adding a few centimetres every time. She's looked more fluent with every throw. Nice low starting position, setting herself well, and she will whiz across that circle. And that looked more explosive than her other throws. Using the rotational technique there. The athlete from Cyprus. So hard, so technically difficult to move yourself with that speed and that delicacy across the circle. That's a good improvement for Thrasivulu, 14 metres 47. I think that adds 1 centimetre to her lifetime best. Still stays in 3rd place, around 98 centimetres now adrift of Elena de Frere. So she's moving that gap down, but de Frere, more the shot put specialist here. And you can tell, look at that speed there, working really hard to keep her balance. De Frere looking for an improvement on 15 metres and 45. Not with that throw, just 14 metres and 98, but I want to say Paraskevula Thrasivulu, she has thrown really well. Has added a centimetre to her lifetime best, but when you move on to the likes of de Frere and Bumquo and you look at the speed they move themselves across the circle, you can see why they're throwing many metres further. Bumquo there, you could tell there just wasn't quite that speed in the rotation there, and it is a foul. So that won't improve on the 17 metres 24 from the opening round. Jolien Maliga Bumquo has really got her warm up really good. She concludes round 5 in the women's shot put, and we're into round 6. Nina Denolf, the only athlete I think left gliding in this competition. And that slightly to me suggests she might be a multi-eventer. It's often the preferred technique for the multi-eventers. They've got so much to contend with. And the glide technique just allows you just to use your power and not have to practice all that timing quite as much. Denolf looking for an improvement on her 1st round effort, and she gets it. Nice 13 centimetres added on there. 10 metres and 71 for Nina Denolf. That completes her shot put competition, and she'll be rewarded with 7th place. Joanne Lillefoog up next. She's in 6th place overall. She's just 1 centimetre behind Laura van der Brand, and that's better after a couple of fouls. Joanne Lillefoog just muscling that throw out. You can see she's frustrated. Isn't that comfortable with her timing. Body language to me suggests it's not going to be any better than 11 metres 95. Great camera work here in Gent. Not the luxury of perhaps an overhead camera you might have rigged in some of the bigger meetings, but that's a bit of a luxury. 11 metres 52. Joanne Lillefoog with consistency when she managed to get a valid throw, finishing with a best of 11 metres 95 and 6th place. Paraskevula Thrasivulu with her final attempt. That's a scorecard you want to post home to your coach. Again, that looked fast. It, to me, looked like Thrasivulu didn't use the whole of the circle there. When she released the shot put, she was shy of the board. And similar to a long jump or a triple jump, you're almost giving metres away there. Well, it's good to see Thrasivulu attack that 6th attempt. But 13 metres and 87, so her best will be that 5th round attempt, 14 metres 47. So just 2 throws left here in the women's shot put. Elena de Frère is in 2nd place at the moment. 15 metres 45 in the 2nd round. One last opportunity for the 3-time national champion to add some centimetres here. Did look fast, did look powerful. I think what you're kind of looking for in that movement across the circle is you're almost staying in a straight line. It's counterintuitive. When you throw in a circle, you presume people are using that circle, but it's almost the opposite. They're kind of moving in a straight line across the circle. For me there, de Frère didn't quite stay in a perfectly straight line, but what do I know? 15 metres 53. It is the best mark of her competition. Jolien Maliga Bumquo, complete proceedings here in the women's shot put. She's got the win tied up. Massive 17 metres 24. When you're in good shape, you're throwing well, you've got an opportunity. And you could see Bumquo, for me, when she took her first step back into the circle towards in the direction she wants to throw, it was just a little bit slow. Really want to snap that leg down and start that momentum and the rotation. But Bumquo just a little bit timid into that opening step. Great throw nonetheless, 16 metres 75. Jolien Maliga Bumquo will take the win here in the women's shot put. That will get herself some nice ranking points. The automatic qualifying distance for the women's shot put is 18 metres 60, just looking down my notes. So Bumquo not quite hitting that, but the idea from European athletics is that half of the athletes will qualify with a qualifying mark and the other half will do it through rankings. So Bumquo will pick up good ranking points for taking the win here and a large margin of victory over her compatriot Elena de Frère. And Paraskevoulou, Thrasivulu picking up 3rd. Leah Fugger in 4th and the North in 5th. I think that's the athletes. I don't know, I'm trying to interpret the results here because I do think Norwitz did throw further than Leah Fugger, but it could be that those athletes in that tri competition are extracted out of these results. And this is perhaps more the result of the open women's shot put. We have had already, I mentioned it at the start of the programme, a good long jump competition for the women that's completed already, and a high jump for women as well. But in terms of field, from now on we've got to wait till 8 o'clock where we'll have the men's pole vault. You can see the athletes on the back straight there just warming up, figuring out their run up. They've got quite a while till they start, so perhaps that is an open category out there. And the shot put men, that will take place at 8 o'clock local time. High jump was won by Glenke Antonia of the Netherlands with a jump of 1 metre and 83. Very good junior jump from Morel Mace. She also jumped 1 metre and 83. All the results are available online. If you Google IFAM Indoor Athletics 2023, that will get you to the main meeting website. And I do believe we've got some results going on the European Athletics website as well. You head over there. The track action isn't that far away. Women's 400 metres should start in around about 3 or 4 minutes. 2 heats of the women's 400 on the cards. And just another quick look at the timetable. 7:30 local time, around about 3 or 4 minutes away. And that's really the start of the international track action. Like I said, this meeting has been going all day long. Competed here myself as an athlete. This is actually one of my very first competitions on the circuit internationally. It was pretty nerve-wracking, so nerve-wracking my dad came, just in case something went wrong. But it is a lovely meeting. It's in line with the IFAM meetings outdoors. I have some really fantastic results, and it's almost you can enter yourself. The organisers do have to accept your entry, and it is really competitive for spots in these IFAM meetings. And it's great to see the indoor meeting getting that World Athletics bronze classification. You can see the athletes down on the track setting up their blocks. This is heat 1 of the women's 400 metres. There is no final. It's 2 heats run side by side. And Katrien Hoven will go in lane 3, Laura Hernandez in 4, Margot van Puiveld in 5 and Nina Hespel in lane 6. The organisers, as is the trend, leaving the inside lanes empty. Laura Hernandez in lane 4. She ran 55 flat last week, 52.67 outdoors, so she's certainly one to keep an eye on. A whole host of these athletes well under that 57-second mark. Look at the local athletes here. In Belgium, we know how competitive that 4x4 squad is, picking up so many medals on the continental and global stage. Such strength in depth here in the 400 metres. Second heat of the women's 400 will go off straight after this. Kathleen Peters, Alice Mangoni, Hannah Clausen, Lavia Nilsson go in that. But here is the first heat of the women's 400. Nina Hespel out in lane 6. There she is. Local athlete from Belgium. 53.8, her personal best. Lane 5 is Margot van Puiveld, national indoor champion in Belgium a few years ago. To remind you, lane 2 is Spain's Laura Hernandez, and lane 1 is Anne-Kathrin Hoven of Germany. And they're away, no problems at all. And Kathleen Hoven on the inside, making up some ground on Laura Hernandez. As it always is with the indoor 400, it is a race to the break. You want that pole position at the bell. You want to be able to run the shortest line in lane 1. But you don't want to leave all your running on this first lap because you'll be very vulnerable in the second. And Katrien Hoven taking the early lead through the bell. She's got Nina Hespel has managed to slot herself into second place. Margot van Poelveld making grounds up on the back straight here. And Katrien Hoven, the athlete from Germany, has put herself in pole position coming into the bell. Can she hold it round this final straight? And Katrien Hoven coming under real pressure from Margot van Poelveld. And that's a brilliant sneaky move from Nina Hespel on the inside. Nina Hespel in the closing stages doing everything she can to get past Katrien Hoven. Wow, that's a long home straight. These are obviously always shorter than an outdoor straight, but when I was an athlete racing indoors, going to have a look at quite where the finish line on these straights was really important to your tactics. You think Nina Hespel, as a local athlete, would be very used to running on this track, but Margot van Poelveld did manage to hold on to the lead. That's come up on the system of 55.19. She was closing hard around the outside. She'd be given the same time as Nina Hespel, 55.19. As those two having a debrief. And Katrien Hoven has come up as 55.2. Could you get a result any closer? They were fighting all the way to the line. It's getting reshuffled by the track judges. That makes a little bit more sense. I think Van Poelveld was making big moves down the final bend, but faded a little bit in the straight. But there we see it was Nina Hespel on the inside, sneaking her way past Katrien Hoven. And Margot van Poelveld having to settle for third place. That's just another look there at the start list for Heat 1. And here is the start list for Heat 2. Could we have any more drama than we did in Heat 1? Like I say, that's a long finishing straight, and that makes for even more entertainment indoors. Heat 2, Kathleen Peters will go in lane 3, Alice Magoni in 4, Hannah Claes in 5, and Lavia Nielsen in lane 6. Mangione, 52.73 outdoors, I think, made the European Championship semi-final. This is her season opener. Mangoni of Italy there. And if you want to get jealous, if you're sitting somewhere that's a little bit cold in Europe right now, head over to Mangione's Instagram and you'll see some lovely pictures of training in Stellenbosch. You can see something similar on Lavia Nielsen's Instagram. She spent a lovely couple of weeks in Tenerife. Did open her season, I think, last week with a 52.88. Lavia Nielsen out there in lane 6. Can be kind. It's hard to run without the other athletes to gauge your effort of, but when you go through that break after 150 metres and you can take a look into your left, you can just figure out whether you need to push harder down that straight to get the break at the bell or whether you're already out in the lead. So to remind you, Kathleen Peters of the Netherlands in lane 3, Alice Magoni of Italy in lane 4, Hannah Claes of Belgium in lane 5, and Lavia Nielsen of Great Britain in lane 6. This is the second heat of the women's 400 metres. Heat 1 won by Nina Hespel in 55.19. Very even through the first 100 metres here. Perhaps Kathleen Peters getting dropped ever so slightly by the 3 athletes outside her. You see those little red cones on the floor that indicate you can leave. Those indicate you can leave your lane and glide over to the inside. Lavia Nielsen getting a lovely smooth tangent down that home straight the first time, and here they head out on their second lap. This is all about whether you've judged it right. That home straight is long. Lavia Nielsen holding on to the lead at the moment, but could she be vulnerable in the closing stages? I think that is Mangione of Italy just making her way down this finishing straight, trying to get back on terms with Lavia Nielsen, but it is going to be a win for Lavia Nielsen, 52.40 something. Apologies, the camera come off the time there, but that's great from Lavia Nielsen. Really well executed race from the British woman, and no one else could quite get back on terms with her, as Hannah Clace in second place and Alice Mangoni having to settle for third. Hannah Clace tried to go with Lavia Nielsen down the back straight. It's almost as though Lavia Nielsen saved something for that home straight. It always looks like someone's speeding up, but I assure you it's probably more likely they're just slowing down less than everyone else. 52.44 for Lavia Nielsen. Hannah Clace were awarded with a personal best 52.97. Alice Mangoni 53.07 and Kathleen Peters 53.52. Great running from all the athletes in Heat 2 of the women's 400 metres there. Just got to say, great seeding as well from the organisers. All 4 athletes in Heat 2 running faster than the 4 athletes in Heat 1. So the win overall will go with the winner of that second heat, Lavia Nielsen. Automatic qualifying time for Istanbul, those European Indoor Championships, is 52.2. But Lavia Nielsen, nonetheless, really good win there. I think that is a season's best for Nielsen as well, by my notes, but my notes aren't always totally correct. That leaves us around about 2 or 3 minutes to go before the men's 400 metre heats are due to get underway. We'll have 3 heats in the men's 400. This is just a look at the podium in the women's shot put. Bumquo, I think, improving her own national indoor record with 17 metres 24. And De Frere with a personal best in second place as well. And Fasivulu of Cyprus in third. As if you haven't worked hard enough today. Oh, that's it. Very helpful. Much better if you can put the podiums close to that. That will pass the health and safety test. Do not want to injure any of your shot putters. Next up, the men's 400 metres, 3 heats scheduled. As with the women's, we'll have multiple heats, and I do believe it will be the fastest person ultimately gets the win, but they will seed based on season's bests and personal bests and that sort of thing, and your accolades. If you've made a major championship final, things like that, you've probably managed to talk yourself into the upper heats. The men's shot put, by my reckoning, was due to get underway at 8 o'clock. I think they might just be introducing the athletes to the crowd here. I think in reverse order. That's Debbie Robimond. It's in any order. It is in reverse order of personal best, I think. Leander Castile's next. Personal best at 14.53. And this is Philip Eckhout. He's going to be doing a bit of a dual role today, Philip Eckhout. He is 43 years old. Great to see him competing, but he coaches quite a few of the athletes in this lineup. Cedric Brockert, he's just 18 years old. He's up next. He has thrown 15.48. This is Quinton Cools in an outright personal best here last week, 16 metres and 80 centimetres. But the athlete with the furthest personal best is this guy, Andreas de la Thalva. He is just 19 years old, 11th at the World Junior Championships last year. And the interesting thing when you look at this field here, and particularly for me, Brockart and de la Thalva, I have to commit to that, Andreas de la Thalva. I'm going to go Lethauer. Apologies to the Lethauer family if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But Brockert and Lethauer are moving up from the junior age group to the senior age group. And that means a heavier shot put, a heavier implement that they've got to throw. The Lethauer and Brockert are used to throwing a 6 kilogram shot. That's what you do when you're a junior. But when you move up into the senior ranks, you have to get to grips with a heavier shot, and it's larger. And that can really change your technique. So we will follow the progress of those gentlemen as they embark on the shot put competition. This is heat 1 of the men's 400 metres. Looks like we've only got 2 athletes lining up. My system's correct. Lane 5 should be Dries van Nieuwhoven and Jonas de Smet in... No, Daniel Segers in lane 4, and we've got an empty lane 6. That was due to be Jonas de Smet. So Van Nieuwenhove and Segers, the only 2 athletes starting this first heat of the men's 400 metres. And you might say, why not chuck more of them in a heat together? But these 400 metre athletes do not enjoy running on the tight inside lanes. Van Nieuwenhove squeezing himself ahead of Segers there to get the pole position. Van Nieuwenhove holding the lead at the moment. Daniel Segers was right on him when they made that move through the belt, and he stuck to him like glue. Has Van Nieuwenhove saved something for this long home straight? He has. It will be a win for Dries van Nieuwenhove ahead of Daniel Segers. Van Nieuwenhove was 400 metre hurdle national champion last year. I was just going to say his personal best I've got down is 48.13, but the graphic on our screen is telling us he has equalled his personal best. And Segers there, 48.45. That won't trouble his personal best. That was a good race from those 2 running side by side. So this is the podium from heat 2 in the women's 400 metres. Heat 1 was very dramatic, nice and tight between Nina Hespel and Hoven of Germany. There's 100th to separate those 2, but Lavia Nielsen led gun to tape. Hannah Claes taking 2nd place and Alice Mangione 3rd. Don't know how they're going to get those bottles of fizz home in their hand luggage. Wouldn't risk a bubble of fizz in your check-in luggage, would you? Probably safest just to drink it. Women's 60 metres due off in 6 or 7 minutes. But we have got 2 more heats of the men's 400 metres before that. Alexis Leloya, Jonathan Sakor and Mark Koch due in heat 2. To wait and see whether all 3 men have made the start line. Just hiding behind the graphic there. So Alexis Leloya of France, new indoor PB in Leuven 2 weeks ago, 47.26. Jonathan Sakor, world junior champion back in 2018. He's got 4 global 4x4 medals already, and he's only 23. This is his first 400 metres of the season. See that personal best there listed at 46.95. And Mark Koch, a very good athlete as well. He's got an indoor personal best of 46.4. Season's best of 47.39. It could be another really tight race here. Mark Koch, perhaps, like I say, that outside lane is nice. It's a little bit gentler. Gives you the opportunity to swing downhill almost as you come towards the belt. So Mark Koch of Germany in lane 6, Jonathan Sakor of Belgium in lane 5, and Alexis Leloya of France in lane 4. Heat 2 of the men's 400 metres. Dries van Nieuwenhove took the win in Heat 1 with 48.13. We could expect a clocking significantly under 48 seconds from the 3 men in Heat 2, but they're just unsettled here in the blocks. All three men look thoroughly untroubled. That must be something they're very used to. I'll settle back into their blocks this time. And they're away, no trouble this time. Looks a little bit like Cock and Secor could be gliding away from Leloya. Mark Cock and Jonathan Secure would have been very pleased to see each other's names on this start list. They would love to have been in that other heat. Everyone does. Secure very close to the line round that bend. He didn't break till the cones, but he was just flirting with the line inside him. Fruitless as well. He didn't get the break. It was Mark Cock of Germany that glided forwards, and he looks like he's going faster. He's holding momentum. And look at Alexis Leloya. He's come back from looking like he was adrift, looking like he couldn't live with the pace of these two. And suddenly Alexis Leloya is moving perhaps the fastest out of these three men. But you feel like he's going to run out of track, and it will be Mark Cock of Germany holding on for the win, 47.35. I was hoping for something way under 48 seconds, and we got it. Really well judged race there from Mark Cock. Got himself into the lead with the break. Jonathan Secor did everything he could to go with Mark Cock, and he felt like the 23-year-old from Belgium just struggled in that last 100 metres. We'd love to see Jonathan Secor back to his very, very best, 45.17 outdoors. But indoors is always a building block, always a chance to test your fitness. Alexis Leloya given a time of 47.74 for second, and Mark Cock 47.33 for the win. And I think that will be a slight season's best for the German. That leads us on to Heat 3. Just trying to check out. No, Leloya did run a little bit faster in Levan 2 weeks ago. The Frenchman picked up second place in that second heat. 4 athletes just getting their blocks placed perfectly here. Each athlete will have a preference to which leg they're going to have forward and the distance from the line. Some of that's kind of determined by your height, some of it's by preference. I'm just trying to make sure we have got Tom Barr of Ireland now on the inside. I think that is him behind the graphic. I haven't seen Casper Cadestal, so we might be down to just 3 athletes in here. Christian Agusel of Belgium is due to go in lane 5, and Mahai Sorendringo in lane 6. The Romanian has got one of the fastest times in the field. Balkan champion last year, holds the outdoor national record, 45.38, 46.79 his time indoors. Sorendringo, he's out there in lane 6. I do think we have only got the 3 starters. I haven't seen Casper Cadestal yet, unless he's hiding around somewhere. So Mihai Sorendringo. Oh, we have got all 4. Brilliant. Dringo taken about. The Romanian. This lane 6 has been pretty kind to a lot of our athletes. Lavia Nilsson getting the win on the women's side. Can Dringo keep the trend going in lane 6? Christian Ugosel in lane 5. Casper Cadestal of Sweden, not sure where he was, but he has made his way to the blocks in time. And Thomas Barr of Ireland, the 400 metre hurdle specialist, in lane 3. No way, no trouble here. Thomas Barr with plenty to aim at, but at the moment just getting dropped a little bit by the faster athletes beside him. Cadestal of Sweden has run a really aggressive first 100 metres here, as has Igosal of Belgium. And the fastest man on paper, Dringo, just having to settle for second place into the bell. It is a lead for Belgium with Christian Igosal. He's working hard down this back straight. Has he saved enough to defend his pole position in the final 100 metres? And these two just starting to pull away from the athletes behind them. Thomas Barr looking like he could finish strongly for third place here, but it is a two-way battle between Dringo and Igosal. And Dringo has paced it the best, gliding through for the win, 46.61. You can see Mahai Sonnen Dringo, he did have a go at trying to get the lead. And I kind of like it when an athlete just accepts that they haven't got it. And if they put in a massive burst of energy to try and fight for that indoor spot, that inside line as you come through the bell, it's going to cost you later on in the race. So Dringo using a lot of experience there just to relax, settle for second place, and then rally and launch a really strong last 50 metres. We'll get the win, 46.59 for the Romanian. Igosal settling for second place, 46.97. I think that will be a new indoor PB for Dringo, perhaps indicating why he was celebrating quite so vigorously. So Mahai Sonnen Dringo being confirmed as the winner of Heat 3. And that's the overall fastest time. Christian Igosal, second place. Thomas Barr did manage to squeeze his way past Kasper Kadestal, Irishman in third, and the Swedish man in fourth. Just to highlight Mark Cox's run from Heat 2, 47.33. That would have been enough for third place there. And Alexis Leloya would have loved to be in this race as well. First and second in Heat 2 would have been good enough for third and fourth in this heat. But hey, that's you can't necessarily say how Mark Cox and Alexis Leloya would have run in this race. Every race is different. But when you think it's so congested and tightly contested with just 4 athletes in it, it's brilliant when you get to the championship races where you've got all 6 lanes used. You see the compiled results there from all 3 heats of the men's 400 metres. Mahai Sonnen Dringo with the fastest time. Christian Igosal in second. Mark Cox of Germany will get his spot on the podium from his 47.33 win in the second heat. Alexis Leloya fourth overall. PB for Adrian de Vredent. That must be perhaps from one of the earlier races. I think that was an athlete we saw in these 3 heats. As I said, they've been heats all day long. Loads of local athletes getting their opportunity to run. So that concludes the men's and the women's 400 metres, and that brings us on to the 60 metres flat. We'll get underway with the women first. We had 7 heats earlier on in the day. I think we'll just have 3 heats in this elite section. So it's heat 1, Femke Nuiten, Rani Vinke, Demi van den Wildenberg, Joan Healy, Jamil Samuel. Yes, I can see Jamil Samuel there. Miriam Ule and Zagra. I can see her setting up her blocks as well. We'll see Anne Zagler later in the 60 metre hurdles as well. And Manon de Poit of Belgium in lane 8 as well. So 3 heats. We've got 8 lanes available for the final. It will take place at 21:55 local time. So if Anne Zagler has a full day and manages her schedule well, she will sandwich 2 rounds of the 60 metre hurdles within her 60 metre campaign. It could be a busy 4 races for Anne Zagra if she does manage to qualify and get herself into all the races. Of course, athletes often just using this as a training exercise. We very often see athletes do a round and then not make it to the final, but perhaps not here. We have got a World Athletics Indoor Tour bronze level meeting. That comes with some great prize money and great world ranking points. Let's see, Jamil Samuel just getting her starting blocks correct. This is the men's pole vault field. Getting introduced to the crowd. Bjorn Sloot, 4 meters 81, personal best and season's best. That's a big old field down here. If they've all turned up, Jip Heist of the Netherlands as well. 18 athletes or so listed. Pittenfields will be up next. Boubacar Diallo. Pierre Straight. Good to see. I love the combination of the club vests with the elite kind of sponsored vests. It's always great to get the opportunity to represent your club. Mediama Rouhani. I wonder if no one stepped forward for that. That could be one athlete that hasn't made the start line. Van Nuffelen. (5 meter 41) vaulter, Jeremy Batelon of France. Pipotet of Spain. Cohen van der Vist of the Netherlands is due up next. No raised hand. The announcer. Oh, there we go. That is Leva Deneri. Ricardo Klotz of Austria, 5 meter 65 vaulter. From Matteo Collet. He did a recent season's best of 5 meter 65. That's Oliancini. 5 meter 76 at his best, not quite up there with his season's best yet. Ethan Cormont, European under-23 champion a couple of years ago. No Harry Koppel. I think we might see him here today, but we have got Matt Ludwig. 5 meters and 90 centimeters, the overall personal best for Matt Ludwig. What can he bring to this competition here today in Ghent? There's your look at the opening heat of the women's 60 metres. Femke Nuiten in 1, Rani Vink in 2, Demi van der Vilgenberg in 3, Joan Healy in 4, Jamil Samuel in 5, Miriam Uller in 6, and Zagra in 7, and Manon de Puit in 8. Keep your eye on Jamil Samuel in lane 5. Bronze medal last time we had the European Indoor Championships. They took place in Torunja. A personal best of 7 seconds 14. Not the best of starts from Samuel. She got left in the blocks a little bit by the likes of Healy and Den Wildenberg. That was a great run from Demi van den Wildenberg. That's her in your screens now. And a personal best, 7 seconds 31. Good win there for Demi van den Wildenberg. Rani Vinnick being given second place. Perhaps at the moment. Jamil Samuel did squeeze her way into third place, 7 seconds 41. Joan Healy at the moment just squeezed out 7:43. Like I said, 3 heats and 8 lanes in the final. So that's, I think, maybe a previous result. That is the result of this heat. Like I said, lots of heats all through the day. Demi van den Wildenberg confirmed as the winner in a personal best. Personal best for Rani Vink as well. Jamil Samuel, 7 metres 41. Sluggish start from the Dutch woman. If she has done enough to get herself into the final, we expect to see a whole lot more there. That's the start list for Heat 2. Jana Doempas, Justine Gussens, Emma van Bussel, Nasreen Bakar, Delphine Nkanza, Leonie van Wilt, Lucy Sleeman and Dora de Hasseler. That's a good opening mark from van der Wildenberg, 7:31. So let's take a punt. Let's say it's first 2 from each heat, and then we'll add 2 fastest losers. I'm afraid that is just a bit of a guess. I think it's fairly logical how the organisers might have seeded this, and that road to the final, which will take place at 21:55 local time. There's Dunpas in lane 1, Goossens in 2, Van Bussel in 3, Bakar in 4, Nkanza in 5, Van Vliet in 6, Sleeman in 7, and De Hasseler in 8. Nkanza of Belgium, one of the fastest athletes in this field. New PB in Aubon 2 weeks ago, 7 seconds 24. Rani Vink, apologies, she was in the first heat. A lot of athletes to make your way through it. Really good opening marks from van der Wildenberg and Vink. And good starts there in the middle of the field. I think that was Nkanza and Bakar inside her, but I think that is Nkanza striding away in lane 5 to take the win. Clock stopping really fast there, 7 seconds, 0.2. Nkanza 7:22, personal best. Oh, this track's fast here in Gent. I think Lavia Nielsen's time was very good in the women's 400 metres. Good winning time as well in the men's 400, but Nkanza 7:22. That's a brilliant time. That's underneath the automatic qualifying time for the European Championships. Van Wilt also getting a personal best, 7:39. Sleeman of Ireland's done well there with a 7:41. Jamil Samuel from Heat 1, still the fastest non-automatic qualifier at the moment. Lucy Sleeman in 3rd, squeezes herself ahead of her teammate Joan Healy, just 100th faster than Joan Healy was in the first heat. Van Vliet there, 7:39. It was a really, really, really good start from Nkanza. Just not really holding back. You've got a long break now. It's at 8 o'clock local time. We've got around about 2 hours before the final. Who else can we add from this 3rd and final heat in the women's 60 metres? See the full lineup there on your screens. Artemis Anastasio, indoor and outdoor national champion for Greece last year. She's got Maria Ignacia Mont. She's one of the many athletes, well, I think there are 4 or 5 athletes here from Chile. Mont's the 5-time national champion. Set a personal best last week of 7:56. Elise Mahoys goes in lane 3. One of the local athletes. She's got faster with every race she's done this season. 7:45, edging towards her personal best. And we've got Nkita Sido will go in lane 4. Certainly one to watch out for. Bronze in the World Juniors last year, over 200 metres, so a bit of speed work for Nkita Sedo in lane 4. Rani Rossius goes in 5. Janie Denea in 6. And a 3rd Irish woman, Katie Bergen, in lane 4. So Delphine Nkanza won heat 2 in 7:22. Demi van der Wildenberg won heat 1 in 7:31. And need around about 7.4 if you want to get into the final later on this evening. Good start from Nkita Sedo. Been challenged on the inside by Elise Mehus, but here comes Sedo just on the line. Rani Rossius of Belgium. Really good start from Nkita Sedo, considering she's a 200 metre runner. That was a very, very rapid start from her. Rani Rossius finishing the race really well. 7:23, personal best, 100th underneath the automatic qualifying mark for those European Indoor Championships in Istanbul. Rossius delighted. Sedo, second place, equaling her season's best she set earlier on in Karlsruhe. This season, Mayhew's in third, 7:41. It's going to be very, very tight for those non-automatic qualifying spots. I think we will hopefully get a bit of a graphic that will update us on who has made that final. But at the moment, I think 7:41 for Mayhew's and Jamil Samuel could be two non-automatic qualifiers. But hugs all round. That's a wonderful moment there, Rani Rossius. I presume either a family member or a coach, but 7:23, personal best. Great run for Rossius. Silver at the Under-23 Championships back in 2021. She already ran a personal best here last week, 7:26, but that was 100th short of that automatic qualifying mark for the European Indoor Championships. But she's turned up here again in Gent and given herself another personal best. So look at that. Belgium 1 and 2 from the opening round of the women's 60 metres. Both of them underneath that all-important automatic qualifying mark, and they will get themselves into the final. Sedo was next, and her teammate Van der Wildenberg will be the fourth qualifier. So there are your 8 through to the final. Elise Mayhew's and Jamil Samuel making it through as non-automatic qualifiers. The rest of the athletes on that list did occupy the first 2 spots in each of their heats. We thought Van der Wildenberg was impressive with starting it off with 7:31, but in the end, that was only the 4th fastest time we'd see from this opening round. And that's really exciting to have those fast times, especially when we've got a high quality men's race coming up as well. I think they'll have probably the same, with 3 heats or so. We're going to have a moment to take a look back at the shot put action. That men's 60 metres heats are due to get underway pretty soon. I think we might be running a tiny bit behind. I think the international heats of the men's 60 should have started at 8 o'clock. So they'll just be setting up their blocks. You can see them just to the side of the shot put netting here. But we'll try and bring you up to date with what's going on in the men's shot put. It should have got underway a few minutes ago. So I'm loving the dynamic of having one of the coaches in there with the competitors. So we've had one full round of the men's shot put. The lead at the moment with Quinton Cools, 15.94. Second is with his teammate Andreas de Latha. It's about 42 centimetres different between them. That's Van Mollicott having his second round effort. He had a foul in the first round. So Van Mollicott, 12 metres 52 is his best. That's another foul. Apologies. I probably could have seen that to the naked eye. I was too busy waiting to see what the computer said. Oh, what the lovely official with the flag. I do enjoy all the developments we have in track and field with the technology and the light system that's been brought in to indicate valid or foul attempts in the field events. But really, for me, nothing quite beats a volunteer or a paid official sat there with a couple of flags. Really pure athletics for me. That is Robert Chalet of Belgium. Foul in the first round for him as well. Just hunting out a second round effort here. They are measuring it. It is a valid throw. (12 metres 40 centimetres for Chalet, and about 42 centimetres short of his personal best, but I'm sure that will give him a big relief there. He can relax. He's got a mark on the board after a foul in the first round. Rian van den Branden will be next. 13.71 in the opening round, which was a personal best for the local athlete, setting himself at the back of the circle. good speed and power in the circle there. Van den Branden perhaps leaning a little bit back, but he gets himself the valid effort. This is Arnold de Kramer. Modest 10 metres 50 in the opening round. Van den Branden did add 10 centimetres to his best attempt so far, 13.81 for him. We are due to have as many as surely I'm looking at the pre-program 11 men's 60 metre heats. Yes, that was the pre-program because I just saw a heat whizzing down the outside. I'll try and give you an update on what that was. Arnold de Kramer looking for an improvement on his 10 metres and 50 in his opening round. 14 metre 10 thrower at his best. That's a good improvement. 12 metres 39 from Arnold de Kramer. Debbie Robbermond should be up in the circle next. Right, we did have heat 1 of the men's 60 metres take place behind Saki took the win in 6.65 from Kobe Vlemenic 6.79. Christopher Sibanda of Ireland was third. So 3 heats of the men's 60 metres. If we follow the logic from the women's, we will have first 2 and 2 non-automatic qualifiers. So Ryuichiro Sakai of Japan as the fastest qualifier so far with 6.65. Kobe Vlemenic 6.79, second place at the moment. Christopher Sabanda of Ireland in one of the non-automatic qualifying spots with 6.85. This is heat 2 on your screens. Jan Rolafea, Galathara Oosterwolde, Hensley Paulina, Jaril Kwanu, Raphael Buju, Cedric van der Graaf, Rick de Witt and Nisak Ekpo. That'll be your full lineup for heat 2. Just bouncing around, like I say, I think a slightly delayed start to this men's 60 metres, but that won't trouble these men. It would have been in the call room. It would have been kept up to date. Kwanu and Buju here in the middle, 2 of the fastest athletes on paper. Van der Graaf in lane 6. Men's final due at just past 10 o'clock local time this evening. That is heat 3 lined up behind, ready to go straight away. Kwanu of Great Britain, World Junior 200 metre finalist. He's in lane 4. Buju of the Netherlands. His PB is the national under-20 record, 6.65 for the Netherlands. 20 years old now. So 2 youngsters, Kwanu and Buju in lanes 4 and 5. Really good start from Raphael Buju of the Netherlands. He's striding away with this one. It could be very fast here in the opening rounds. That is a brilliant run from Raphael Buju. Keen to use the rounds really, really well. It's come up on my computer as 6.67. That will be a great time. Ekpo given second place, 6.81. De Witt given third, 6.85. Paulina coming up in fourth, 6.87. So at the moment that ties De Witt of the Netherlands with Sabanda of Ireland for the non-automatic qualifying spots. But that's a great season's best for Buju. His personal best, 6.65, just a shade slower. He might give that a scare when he looks towards that final in around about 2 hours' time. Ekpo, good seasons, but a good personal best for second place. I said Rick de David, 6.85 at the moment, tied with Christopher Sabanda of Ireland. So 6.65, the non-automatic qualifying time at the moment. Automatic qualifiers, Ryuichiro Sakai, Kobe Veminich, and the two men from that second heat, Rafael Buju and Sikak Ekpo. So there's heat 3 on your screens. You saw the men waiting patiently at the side. Michael Demo will go in lane 1, Timo Sperring in 2, Matteo Martini in 3, Reece Prescott in 4, Elvis Afrifa in 5, Valentin Hornet in 6, Onyema Edgar in 7, and Cedric Finney in the lane 8. See Finney just taking a seat there. That would psych out your competitors if you're going, I'm ready, I've set my blocks up. Reece Prescott still sorting himself out down there. So Reece Prescott did go out to a really good 6.60 in Manchester at the Brigham event there. That was a World Indoor Tour bronze as well. Reece Prescott looked really good and smooth, very much ran it like a heat. He got out, and then to me, perhaps it settled, relaxed, and it was lovely to see the clock stop at 6.60. And then unfortunately, Reece Prescott then experienced cramps when he was warming up for the final and decided not to risk it. So let's hope we can get another great performance out of Reece Prescott, and hopefully maybe 2 races as well. Elvis Afrifa just outside of him in lane 5. New PB last week, 6.69. 10.22 man outdoors, Elvis Afrifa, which is very respectable, but he has got a 9.93 athlete to his left in the British athlete Reece Prescott. Just being told it's not quite ready. Matteo Martini, another athlete to watch. He goes in lane 3 there with the shades on. This is his 10th indoor race of the season. He's certainly come out hard, raced a lot of times in January. So perhaps Martini, Prescott and Afrifa, the athletes to watch in 3, 4 and 5. Lightning quick start there for Martini, but here comes Reece Prescott. He's running tall. He's trying to stride away from the field. Elvis Afrifa certainly went with him. Close competitive race there between Reece Prescott of Great Britain and Elvis Afrifa of the Netherlands. 6.69 for Reece Prescott, 6.71 for Afrifa. Hornet, brilliant personal best, 6.88 for third, but I don't think that will push him into the non-automatic qualifying spots. We were looking for 6.85 for that. So Rick de David and Christopher Sebanda with their 6.85 joint time. We'll see them advance to the final. And Reece Prescott there, it was a good start, and then he started to open up, but you almost feel like there wasn't a total dip through the line. It was like it was almost enough to win. But perhaps gauging his effort based on his experiences last week, Reece Prescott, who ran 6.60 in the opening round at the World Indoor Tour bronze in Manchester and then couldn't compete in the final. Did overhear him saying to people around the stadium in Manchester, he'd been asked to do a full warm-up in Manchester for both races, and that's something he needed to do as part of his training and his preparation for the season. But that's quite a big ask. So, I don't know. Let's see. Let's hope we get Reece Prescott into the final as well, because that was a really good opening round. Great winners across the board. Rafael Buji with his 6.67. And Ryuichiro Sakai of Japan, the fastest qualifier at the moment, with 6.65. Turn our attention back to the third round of the men's shot put. The lead at the moment with Andreas de la Thouwer, 16 metres 57. He's just ahead of Quinton Cools. Quinton Cools did have the lead in the opening round, but de la Thouwer snuck past him. I say snuck, 60 centimetres past him towards the end of round 2. This is David Robemond, looking to extend on his 14 metres and 40 from round 2. He's up in 4th place at the moment. The order of the throwers will be reshuffled once we complete this round 3. He's 3 centimetres to get himself up into 3rd place at 14.43 with Cedric Brockhart at the moment. I'll try and update you with the mark for David Robemond. It was just 14 metres 07, but there's the compiled results of the men's 360 metre heats, confirming final spots there for Christopher Sabandu and Rick Didovit. The other competitors into the final were the winners from Heat 1, Sakai and Verminich, from Heat 2, Buju and Ekpo, and from Heat 3, Prescott and Afrifa. There were all the times for the athletes in the men's 60 metre heats. This is including, I think it was as many as 11 heats that took place through the day. Festival of athletics here. That's the men's 60 metre heats concluded. Their final will take place at 22:03 local time. And we'll take a look back at the men's shot put. Philip Eckhout, this is the coach of Andreas de la Thouwer, and maybe some of the other guys as well. He's got a big old group. But Eckhout decided that the very best way to keep an eye on your athletes is to compete alongside them and just give yourself 90 seconds off per round to focus on yourself. I think that might be nearly for Eckhout. Hello to you too, sir. 14 metres 80. He's got to keep his celebrations subdued. He's got other athletes to focus on, but Philip Eckhout, the coach come athlete today, pushes himself up into 3rd place with that effort. Cedric Brockhart is the man he's just overtaken. He's been pushed down into 4th place. He's listed as a junior man, Brockhart. That means if he wanted to, he could be throwing a 6 kilogram shot put instead of the 7.26 kilogram shot put he's dealing with here. But you've got to take your opportunities to get a feel for that bigger shot put. 14.43 in the 2nd round. Just 13.93 for Brockhart. He's still just 18 years old. It must be frustrating. He's thrown 16 metres 74 with that lighter shot. And he's I'm just going to settle for that. So this is Quinton Cools. Held the lead in round 1, giving it up to Andreas de la Thouwer. Quite tentative there from Quinton Cools, and he there's a voluntary foul there. It's so technical, this event. It's not just as simple as hurling something down onto a bunch of mats. You've got to get your timing right. Sam Krantz here in the pole vault 3rd. And final attempt there, I think, at 4 metres and 80. And that could be the end of the competition for Sam Krantz. But 4 metres and 80 would have equalled his personal best. So here's the event lead in the men's shot put to La Thouwer. As he stayed in there. The official having a good old look at that. Everyone seems to like. So they've all got the same vest on. Does that mean? That certainly means they're at least from the same club. But could that be Philip Eckhout coaching those guys as well? Looking for an improvement on 16 metres 56. 17 metres 38. That's a brilliant throw from Andreas de la Thouwer. You can see there Eckhout having to coach alongside. He's just saying, Push those hips through. You've got to get that triple extension. All the power transferred from the floor upwards. A throw is so much more than just using your arms. Look at that. De La Fowler adding a metre in the first round and 80 centimetres in the third round. It's great throwing from the young local athlete, 19 years old, 11th at the World Juniors last year and in the lead here. That takes us into round 4 of the men's shot put. They will, I think, do a reshuffle, throw in a different order. Builds that drama. Sam Van Molcott had 3 fouls. So I think that is his overall result, no mark. And Rob Chalet is in 9th place at the moment. That'd be great if we do see Rob Chalet come up. That means they give him more than sort of the expected top 8, the final 3 rounds. They've got plenty of time down there for this men's pole vault. Over on the track, we'll move on to the next event, which is the men's 60-metre hurdles. They're trying to qualify themselves for the final. It takes place at 9:47 local time. I expect a whole load of heats for these men. There's heat 1 here. 3 heats in total. So let's go with first 2 and then 2 non-automatic. We have Eli Bakari, Tim Acosta, Max Heralia, Shuhei Ishikawa, Job Gerds, Anton Levin and Mark Hayden. Here in this first heat of 3. Ishikawa is on a 7:69 season's best. He made the semi-final in Oregon. Here in lane 4 in the white vest there with the red shorts. Job Gerds outside him. A season's best of 7:94, taking 7th at the recent CMCM meeting in Luxembourg. That was covered here on the European Athletics YouTube channel. Don't forget you can watch back all the coverage here over the season. Heat 1 of the men's 60 metres hurdles. Huralia of Sweden, a good athlete there in lane 3 as well. He was 2nd in the Aarhus sprint and jump meeting recently in a new personal best of 7:72. Huralia in lane 3. Ishikawa in 4 and Gerds in 5. You take up your centre lanes. A race to the first hurdle is perhaps won by Bacardi on the inside, but here come the big 3 hitters on the inside. Can they hold it together? That was what you call a blanket finish. I think Huralia might have just got himself through for the win there. 7:81. That's a good run from the Swede. A bit outside that personal best he set in Aarhus of 7:72. Really good execution under pressure from all of those men, really, but particularly Huralia. They're probably all taken a bit by surprise. Eli Bakari of Belgium got a brilliant start. Ishikawa has been given 2nd place in 7:88, the same time as Job Gerds, 7:88. But on the photo finish, 2nd and the automatic spot in the final goes to the Japanese athlete, and Job Gerds will have to wait and see how the next 2 heats unfold. That's Leander Castells taking his 4th round throw. He's in 7th place at the moment, 13:48. His best from round 1. No improvement for Leander Castells. He gets 12:39 in his 4th round. And Van den Branden is in 6th place at the moment, 13:87. He wants to get up into 5th place. It's quite a jump. 14:40 is Devi Robimond, but he'll have a go. Here's heat 2 of the men's 60-metre hurdles. Rico Cottel of Great Britain goes in lane 1. Robin van Dam of Belgium in 2, Matthew Behan of Ireland in 3, Kenro Tossa in lane 4, Dylan Catay in 5, Vincent Vernet in 6 and Sinead Seggers in 7. Matthew Behan of Ireland will have watched a lot of Irish here competing in Gent. I wonder if he had a chance to see Sarah Lavin running a brilliant 7:99 in Poland. That took place probably around about 2 hours ago now. But I think such is the nature of our world now. You can see everything on social media very quickly and lots of opportunities to get inspired. Rico Cotell there with his Blackheath and Bromley vest, coached by John Blackie. Great coach. Matthew Behan just going through the screen there. Estonia's Totta getting lane 4. Belgium's Catay in lane 5. Vernet in 6. And Sagers there in 7. All these men just taking a moment to compose themselves. First 2 automatically through to the final later this evening. 7:88 and 7:91, the fastest non-automatic times up for grabs at the moment. The Estonian Totta really in form. He set new personal bests and 60 flat and 60 hurdles. Could be on for another one today in lane 4. Fast start from Dylan Catay. Dylan Catay winning the race, I think, to the first hurdle. Can he hold it all the way to the line? Catay just striding away from Matthew Behan. I think the Irishman might have held on for second place. Looking like he's clutching his hand. I wonder if he kicked himself. Dylan Catay, 8:07. That's a modest start compared to the other heats. Dylan Catay, 8:07. Matthew Behan, 8.1. And Rico Cotell, 8:13 at the moment. Nowhere near the non-automatic qualifying times. So I wonder if the likes of Dylan Catay and Matthew Behan might have got a little bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card here. Executed great races, but those times wouldn't have been competitive in that first heat. If you remember, we did have all the men just fighting it out in Heat 1. Ishikawa and Gerds super close. Dylan Catay getting the win there with some daylight ahead of Ireland's Matthew Behan, and he will get a spot in the final later on. Rico Cotell, unfortunately for the British athlete, that won't be fast enough. And that will be the end of his day here. He can kick back, relax and watch the rest of the action. Here's the third and final heat. Robin Gossens, Ernesto Martin Cebrano, Sam Versus, Ewout Duman, Iban de Grise and Jelle de Jong. Here in Heat 3, just 6 starters. I think the fastest on paper would be Versuillet of the Netherlands. He's down there in lane 3. In virtue of that personal best 8:26, season's best 8:28. I do wonder if that first heat was maybe seeded as some of the faster athletes on paper. It could be due to some late withdrawals maybe, if you've already seeded the heats. Such a complicated game. I did say at the start, hats off to the organisers. They got the women's 400 seeding absolutely perfect. Mark Koch was in Heat 2 with the men's 400 and actually ended up 3rd overall. We'll see who will advance into the final of this men's 60 metres hurdles. That will be 21:47. Just to recap this third and final heat. Robin Gossens in lane 1. Cebrano of Spain in lane 2. Versuillet of the Netherlands in 3. Dumont of Belgium in 4. De Grise of Belgium in 5. And de Jong of the Netherlands in lane 6. third and final heat of the men's 60 metre hurdles. Fastest of this heat so far, Max Herrölja in heat 1, Swedish athlete, running 7:81. Shuhei Ishikawa of Japan was next fastest, 7:88. Top Gerds of the Netherlands given the same time in that first heat. Versouje of the Netherlands gets a good start, as does De Griese of Belgium on the outside, but Versouje too close to call from this camera angle. Looks like good runs from De Jong, De Griese and Versouje. If I manage to keep my eye on the correct lanes. Super fast results here at the IFAM indoor meeting. Always useful to fans and commentators alike. De Griese getting the win in a personal best. 8:22 ahead of Versouje, 8:23. And De Jong 8:25. So, forgiving my ignorance, I think it definitely looks like these were run more like we'd expect kind of the 400 or the 800 heats to be ran, with the fastest seeded athletes going in that first heat and then moving to the slower, more developing athletes in heat 2 and heat 3. So in terms of who gets to run again in the 60 metre final at 60 metre hurdle final at 21:47, we'll have to wait and see what the graphic kicks up for us. I just want to say we've had a bunch of 60 metre heats and a bunch of 60 metre hurdle heats with no false starts. It's something I definitely like to see. Keeps everything a bit more simple and a bit kinder. See graphic up in your right hand screen, just advertising that this is the IFAM meeting. I have this indoor meeting in Gent and a brilliant outdoor meeting as well. So there's the heat 1 for women's 60 metre hurdles. We will try and figure out who gets to go into the final of the men's 60 metre hurdles a little bit later on. We have got Anzagra there. She didn't make it through to the 60 metre final, so her day's just got a little bit easier. I would say that similar to that men's heat, that this heat 1 is higher quality. It's got a lot of the big names you'd expect to see. Micah Chinalim, Anzagra, Zapalska, Norwitz. Those are all athletes with very fast personal bests. But we will wait and see. So these heats are due off really any second. They're fighting for another run out at 21:40 in the final. A new world lead on the women's side. Pia Skrzydłowska running 7:78 earlier on this evening. It'd be wonderful to get close to that 8-second mark here for the women. Cedric Bloquet in 4th place at the moment. 14:43 his best, and that's a foul there in the 5th round. So I think we're around about halfway through this 5th round already. Here comes the 3rd place athlete, Philip Eckhout, athlete / coach. 14 metres 80. Good effort in the 3rd round. That good and powerful there from Eckhout, I'd say. Perhaps not as fluent as we saw in perhaps that 14 metres 80, but always here to make myself look stupid. See if he's gone further than 14 metres and 80, Philip Eckhout. And it's a 14 metres 61 for Eckhout. On to Quinten Kool's. He's in 2nd place at the moment with 15:94, all the way from his opening round. Set himself here at the back of the circle, get his starting position nice and solid. And then whiz across the circle. Fast release there from Quinten Kool's, but for me you could see his body posture just a little bit back off that final foot. He placed the final foot and you just need to get over that and push some power through it. 14 metres 84 for Quinton Coulson. Still no improvement on his 15.94 from the first round. That was such a great throw. He's just struggling. There's the problem with some of these field events. The harder you try, the tenser you get. And that does not always mean you're going to throw further. Andreas de Lethalve of Belgium. Really big PB, 17 metres 38. And it was a big foul. Just falls over that line. So turning our attention back to the track. First heat of the women's 60 metre hurdles. I said this to me is got some of the biggest stars in it, if you like. The people we'd expect to make that final. Yumi Tanaka in 1, Alicia Barrett in 2, Anna Zagra in 3, Meika Chinalim in 4, Norwitz in 5, Eva Seni in 6, and Monika Zapalska in lane 7. Meika Chinalim, personal best, coming second at the CM meeting in Luxembourg. 8 seconds on the nose, 8.00. Backed it up with an 8.04 in Lyon last week, another second place. Meika Chinalim, the athlete in form. Can she win the race? The first hurdle, and Zagra right with her. It does look like Meika Chinalim is going to glide away in the closing stages here. Awaseni in lane 6, maybe coming through for second place. And Zagra, really tight on the line between Seni and Zagra for that second place, but Meika Chinalim gliding away for the win. And just in case we don't see Anne Zagra again, maybe we will, 8.22 second place. But who can forget her running that race all on her own in Oregon last summer. Tangled up with another competitor in her heat, fell over, got the chance to run again. And a bit of a lonely figure out there on the track on her own in Oregon in the USA. But a bit of a troubled season outdoors for Anne Zagra. Great to see her running well here today. But Chinalim getting the win with 8.1. Anne Zagra and Tanaka giving the same time, 8.22, season's best for Awaseni. That must have been a fast finish from Tanaka in lane 1. I must have been too busy looking at Zagra and Seni. That's heat 1 of the women's 60 metres. There had been a spate of sub 8 second performances from our European women in the 60 metre hurdles. Pia Truskowska, fastest in the world and Europe at the moment with 7.78. But we had Dean Visser, 7.86 in the week. I think that was in Ostrava. And Serena Samba Mayela, a world indoor champion, getting herself under 8 seconds as well. Sarah Lavin doing it today as well. It'd be really lovely if we could get the likes of Meika Chinalim and the others under or very close to 8 seconds today. The officials out on the track making sure the hurdles are all exactly where they should be. Ready for heat 2. I've missed Malika Amini. That's Dana Suman, Jenna Blundell in lane 4, and Girl Avazi in lane 5. Isabel Mayer in 6, and Anastasia Davis in lane 7. And we had Lynn Beck of Belgium there in lane 2. Full lineup of 8 competitors. Jenna Blundell of Great Britain, I think with the fastest personal best in here. 8 seconds 21. 8.25 season's best. 60 metre personal best already this season as well for the British athlete. Aguazi just to her outside in lane 5. Suman on the inside. Suman getting a great start. The Estonian certainly rising first at the first hurdle, and she's navigating the ground in between really well. Diana Suman of Estonia takes the win from Jenna Blundell of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Those two really easing their way ahead for the rest of the field. Good run, Diana Suman, 8.16. Jenna Blundell, 8.23. And Anastasia Davis coming through for third place, 8.45. So Diana Suman really meant business there. Great start. really attacked that first hurdle and then kept working in between. You can see the hot seats there on the right hand side of your screen. That very much indicating that the top 8 overall will be the ones that will go through to the final. When I get a moment, I'll try and have a look back, see what the state of the men's 60-metre hurdle final is looking like. But Diana Suman and Jenna Blundell coming first and second there. And it will be maybe 100th of a second personal best for Diana Suman. She only ran that personal best 8:17 last week, and she's already chipped another 100th off it there. We're in the final round of the men's shot put, and all the way to Philip Eckhout. He is secured in third place. Cedric Brockhart had to settle for fourth. And, Philip Eckhout, there we go, he has done his final throw already. No improvement for the coach come athlete either. He will stay in third place. So just Quinton Cools and Andreas de Laufer left to throw. And, probably won't have time to see them before this third and final heat of the women's 60 metre hurdles. And it is an all Belgium affair. 6 competitors, all from this country. I'm sure they're very used to racing each other. Ilana Hansen's in 1, Danae in 2, Bowens in 4, Bellman's in 4, Bowens in 3. Kokelkoren in 5 and De Foyer in 6. Bowens the fastest in this field, I think, with her 8 seconds 54. She goes in lane 3. And it's pretty even to that first hurdle. Kokelkoren running well on the outside and coming through in the middle. Bowens in the lilac strip, I think, taking the win there. It was a very good start from Kokelkoren out there in lane 5. But Bowens in lane 3, just getting the better of her in the closing stages with a 8:61. Kokelkoren, an 8:64 personal best coming into this. Really nice and close to that with an 8:66. You can see all these times getting slotted into that hot seat graphic on the right hand side. Unfortunately, no one from this race is going to push themselves up into the top 8 at the moment. But a good, well executed race nonetheless. Bowens holding her nerve despite being under pressure. That's the results of heat 3 of the women's 60 metre hurdles. And we've got one more heat to go after this. There they are. Nina Denolf, Nina de Koninck, Zita Gossens, Miro Vassman, Morgan de Jong and Laura van der Brangen. They will be the final competitors in the women's 60 metre hurdles, heat 4. I think we have concluded the men's shot put. So Van der Brand is the athlete there in lane 6. Not a totally one nation field. We have got those 2 athletes from the Netherlands in 4 and 5, Vlasman and de Jong. Zita Gossens, one of the fastest there. She's done 8:66. Vlasman 8:69. De Koninck 8:71. That's your 2, 3, 4. Nina Denolf has taken a moment to calm her nerves in lane 1. Starting to get a little bit late there, local time, 10 to 9 now. Very normal time to race, I guess, if you're competing on the circuit. Nina de Koninck goes in lane 2. Zita Gossens in 3. Mira Vassman there in lane 4. Morgan de Jong in lane 5. And Laura van der Brand in lane 6. Already seen some super fast times in the opening couple of heats. Maika Chinlin leading the way with 8.1, and Zagra and Yumi Tanaka both been given 8.22, so 8.16 from Dinah Suman in heat 2. This is the fourth and final heat of the women's 60 metre hurdles. Fairly even in the middle of the field there. Gossens making her way forward from lane 3, and Gossens does hold on to the lead all the way to the line. Close for second place, perhaps between De Jong and De Konnik. There's a confirmation for Zita Gossens. 8.74, De Konnik getting second and De Jong being awarded third. I think if we go down the graphic on the right hand side of our screens, it could be Alicia Barrett in the 8th spot as we look towards the final later on. That'll be a shame not to get to see the world indoor champion Norwitz twice. She's sitting in 9th place at the moment. If everyone decides they want to advance forward into the final, we might not get another look at Norwitz. I'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. I will let you know if I see any start lists for both the men's 60 hurdles final and the women's 60 hurdles final. We will have an A and B final in the women's 60 metre flat. That will get underway a little bit later. That's 9:55. Those two hurdle races will be before that. We're going to have a moment to catch up with the pole vault action. Sam Kranzer exiting with 4 metres and 80. 3 clearances to get that. 3 failures at 5 metres. Just bringing you up to date with the men's shot put in case anyone's waiting for that. It was still a win for Andres Lethauer with 7 metres and 17 metres 63. There wasn't really any change there towards the end of the men's shot put. Brilliant throws from some young athletes there, like I said, getting to grips with the larger shot puts. Every pun intended. The bar at the moment in this men's pole vault, I think it must have gone up to 5 metres, judging by the graphic there. We've got some failure, 3-time failure for Sam Krans at 5 metres, so that will be the end of his competition. We did have clearances for Jip Heist, Bukar Diallo, Thomas van Nuffen. Apologies, I'm losing half the names off the side of my graphic, but there are a good few men over that 5 metre height. Thomas van Nuffelen made it. Jeremy Batalon, Alexei Piportet. Also got Isadro Denaya over 5 metres and Aloyan Sene. So the bar has gone up to 5 metres and 20 in the men's pole vault. I'll try and keep you across that as it develops. But we've got one women's 300 metre race. So there's Marcos, Gaifatu, Lambert, Ponnet and Van den Broek. Whiz their way round 300 metres. Not a very commonly run distance. There's another uncommon distance being run tonight by one Femke Bol over in Boston. We were getting very excited earlier on. We ran a Twitter space on European athletics. Myself and Alex Seftel, who's also commentating on a meeting in France. You could probably double screen if you have the facilities, as he is live on the European Athletics YouTube at the same time as me. But Femke Bol is running that 500 metres tonight. I really think she might have a shot at the world best. Stands at the moment at 66 seconds, 0.3. Another few hours before that. I hope you enjoy all the action we've got on the European Athletics YouTube. Before you turn your attention to Boston, we have got a poll running on European Athletics on the Twitter page and on the Instagram. You can go and vote whether you think Femke Bol is capable of running that world best. But here is this women's 300 metres. They are underway. I'm assuming they're going to run the whole thing in lanes. We'll have to see. I'm not sure. I can remember seeing a 300 metres run indoors. But yeah, it looks like they are going to stay in lanes the whole way. And that's a very long stagger to try and unwind. These athletes working super hard down the back straight. And here they will come through with around about 100 metres to 50 metres to go when they hit this home straight. We have seen it's a very long straight. And these women running fantastic times here. 37.43 on tight indoor bends. There's a very good run there. I think that was Helena Ponnet of Belgium holding on for the win there. There it was. Apologies, I didn't have my start list loaded up in time to commit to who was in which lane. Van der Broek ran really well out there on her own. Imagine that, a whole race with a long stagger, not seeing anybody else until it was too late. Helena Ponnet just nipping through in lane 5 to take the win. Kylie Lambert, a junior woman, one of the youngest women in the field, holding on well for 3rd place. But Helena Ponnet, regular in the Belgian 4x4 team, made the final in Oregon and in Munich. And a personal best of 53.35 here on this track last week. And that's another good run there from the Flemish athlete. You've got everything you can to get onto that Flemish 4x4 team. It's very hard to make. Van den Broek getting 2nd place. She's another regular on that 4x4 team. Kylie Lambert. Here's another PB for Kylie Lambert to add to her 60 metre and 200 metre PBs that she already managed this indoor season. Nora Suarez Marcos of Spain coming through for 4th. And Fatou Gueye of Senegal in 5th. I did think we might see Sarah McCarthy of Ireland, but she did the long jump earlier, so that left us with just those 5 women in the women's 300 metres. So next up on track is due to be the women's 800 metres, and there they are, right on cue. Gent just running probably a shade under 10 seconds, 10 minutes behind schedule here. Apologies, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Okay, is that everybody all in one heat? Or are we going to see heats? Because that's an awful lot of athletes there. That's not necessarily a bad thing. They can get a good pacemaker and they can go out nice and fast. We were due to have 2 separate heats. So I'll just have to give me a second to figure out. Yes, I do think we do still have 2 heats, but they are 2 very large heats. That's okay if you've got good pacemaking. This is the first heat. Sawa Perek, Ayano Shiomi of Japan, Leah Taberi of France, Steph Driscoll of Great Britain, Selina van Hedekuza of the Netherlands, Camille Laus of Belgium, Rachel Palaud of Switzerland, Ellie Harnett of Ireland, Anika Henriksdottir of Iceland, and Hanne Modens of Belgium. So my hesitation about whether there was 2 heats was largely over Anita Henriksdottir. Such an accomplished athlete. She has had issues. We haven't seen her very best performances for a while, but she does hold pretty much every national record for Iceland. And she has done 2:01.18 indoors, albeit a few years ago. So this could be a really good platform race for the likes of Anika Henriksdottir, just to get her foot in the door, so to speak. Interested to see how Camille Laus goes as well. So many major championships in the 4x4. Made so many finals. She ran 51.77 last season outdoors, and she is still committed to that decision to move up to the 800 metres. Her very first 800 metres ever last week. And Camille Laus did that 2:09.02. You can see on your screens. But with a personal best of 51.77, you got to feel that Camille Laus is capable of a really special 800 metre time. So next one, Steph Driscoll of Great Britain there, surely due to totally obliterate her indoor personal best. I think it's about 2:18. to 1:32 600 metres the other day behind her training partner Keely Hodgkinson. She had set that world best of 1:23. So this is the first heat of the women's 800 metres. A lot of shared lanes out there. Marcelina Peroni due to pacemake. She's been, no, apologies, that's the faster race. Hannah Maldens, who was out there in lane 6 on her own, she's been asked to come through in 60 seconds. They're hoping to run around 2:04, 2:05. And you can see everybody just slamming the brakes on ever so slightly. Hannah Maldens doing a really good job of getting herself back into the lead. I think that could be Camille Laus there in second place. Apologies if I'm getting the athletes muddled up, and pretty sure that's Annika Henriksdottir in third. So they've just dropped off the pacemaker there a tiny bit. It wasn't super fast through that first 200 metres. Camille Laus has really got to find her feet as she figures out pacing. See Steph Driscoll there making an aggressive move to move herself up. She's seen that 300 metre split and she was not pleased with that. Steph Driscoll there running in the bright yellow vest, easing her way past Anita Henriksdottir. And a pacemaker just stepping aside, 61, 62 or so through 400 metres. That's very good. Steph Driscoll keen to take up the running here. She would want this race to be a little bit faster. She's run 2:04.44 outdoors last year. And that 1:32 600 has got to given her a lot of confidence. But at the moment, Great Britain, Steph Driscoll taking up the running from Camille Laus. And here goes Anita Henriksdottir and Camille Laus as well. Just working their way back past Steph Driscoll. Steph Driscoll just starting to tread water ever so slightly. There is another athlete there in the white and green vest easing her way past Steph Driscoll. But at the moment, Camille Laus trying to unleash a really aggressive last 200 metres. And here comes Anita Henriksdottir. I did say this race could be quite accessible for Henriksdottir. She was looking for a platform to spring herself back into aggressive and successful racing. But Camille Laus, the 400 metre specialist, has saved something for the closing stages in her second 800 metre race ever. 2:05.99 for Camille Laus. Well judged race. Hugs all round. I think that's Rachel Pelland who came through well for the third place. And, that's incorrect there on your screen on the left-hand side. Steph Driscoll was in fourth place. That could be the correct time, but it won't be for Steph Driscoll. It will be for Camille Laus. And that'll be really fun for Camille Laus. She's just chopped off 3 seconds or so in her second 800 metre race. The Anita Henriksdottir. Oh, it was a big move. It pushed it on in that third lap. Just came under pressure in the last 50 metres. I said it in the 400s, but it is a long finishing straight here in Gent at the IFAM indoor meeting, and it has caught a few athletes out. Here's heat 2 of the women's 800 metres. Valentina Rossamilia, silver medalist from the World Junior Championships last year in Nairobi. Or was it the year before? The year before, Valentina Rossamilia. Bronze at the European Juniors and then silver at the World Juniors. Just easing herself into the senior ranks. Erin Wallace opened her season well last week in Manchester with a 4:10 over 1500s. But Jarinta Masaya of Kenya there in lane 4 is a sub-2 performer outdoors. She ran her first ever indoor races in the last few weeks, 2:05 and 4:14. But Masaya is the African champion, and if she can just start to feel at home here on the tight bends and short straights, you'd feel this race is very much hers. She's sharing a lane there with Suzanne Vorrips, the Dutch woman there, 2:02 outdoors. We've got Anne-Marie Nissen. No, perhaps she hasn't made the start line. Apologies. Veronica Sadek is in there. She's the national under-20 record holder. Got to be inspired by Anita Horvath's 2 dead world lead the other day. What can she do? And we have got Nissens in there. Apologies. This is a big old field. Oh, let's hope they all stay on their feet there. That was a messy first 100 metres. Good pacemaking here from Marcelina Peroni. She's been asked to come through in 58.5, hoping for around about 2 minutes 2:01 as a finishing time. That is Nissen there in second place, running a similar race to that she did in Manchester last week, getting herself up there early doors. You can see a big move coming round from Messiah of Kenya. Pacemaker doing a good job here at the front of the field. But a lot of the athletes further back in this field just fighting to get themselves back into a decent position. Apologies for not quite knowing who that is there in second place. They are running super well. It's not much change there as they come through 400 metres. Some of these athletes that would have felt like they had to slam the brakes on in that first circuit might really get into their running here in this third lap. Good pace making there. Just a shade outside the pace they were asked for. You have to really keep it moving in the final circuit here in Heat 2 of the women's 800 metres. Come through 600 metres in 1:32. That was an aggressive third 200 metres from our leader here. And that could give her a good time and the win. But here comes Dorinta Messiah of Kenya. It's almost like she's heard that bell and leapt into life. She goes flying past Nissen of who was in third place. She is really starting to tread water, Anne-Marie Nissen of Denmark. But I think Dorinta Messiah has left it a little bit late. We are going to have a gun to tape if you ignore the pacemaker winner. 2:03 there. And apologies for not knowing the name of this South athlete. Is it Guillemot of France? If it is, that's a great run from her. 2:03.6 and a win here in the World Indoor Bronze Meeting. IFAM in the indoors. I'm just waiting for confirmation on my computer, but there's going to be some frustrated women there. I felt like they all ran into each other. And it is Agatha Guillemot of France who took that win. That was a really well judged race. She committed in the first 200, separated herself from all the drama and all the bodies around her. And she's been rewarded with a win, 2:03.67. And that would be an indoor personal best for Guillemot. And bettering her mark she hit when she came third in the CM meeting in Luxembourg. So that's the second heat of the women's 800 metres, and that moves us on to the first heat for the men's 800. Ben Claridge, Kevin McGrath, Bia Harms, Alan Botterman, Mercimoy Kassahan, Maxime Tillman, Mark Milner and Arne Vergiesen. This is the, with all due respect, the slower heat of the two 800 metres. I've got the likes of Elliot Crestan and Thibaut de Schmet to come in Heat 2, something I'm really looking forward to if they've managed to get their way to Gent today. This is so many racing opportunities indoors. You can't really excuse people sometimes of chopping and changing their minds, but here is Heat 1 of the men's 800 metres. Ben Claridge starting fast there on the inside. Pacemaker has been asked to go at about 52 seconds here. 3 heats in the men's 800 metres. I think that is Ben Claridge perhaps just slotted himself on the inside. Maybe Kevin McGrath moving himself into second place. Simoy Kassahan, no indoor experience at all, the man there. You can just see him in the blue vest moving into third place from all the runners, second place in the race. He did make the World Junior final last year and he has run 1:46.95 outdoors. Just trying to cut his teeth here indoors, and that was a canny move off the Ethiopian. And they come through around about 54, 55 seconds there with the pacemaker. I think that is still Ben Claridge of Great Britain, who's going to take up the lead with 300 metres to go. And you just feel like Messemoy Kassahan is biding his time here, perhaps just waiting for that bell, seeing what he could unleash. And they come through 600 metres in 1:21. All to fight for in this closing 200 metres. It is, I think, Ben Claridge coming under pressure for Mersemoy. Cassahunt, long-time leader out here in the front. Going to be heartbreak if he comes under pressure in this last straight. But it's a long straight. It's turned up so much drama. They're trying to hold their form. They're flooded with lactic. Cassahunt, last dive for the line. And I think the victory will go to the young Ethiopian in what is, I think, his first ever indoor race. 1:49.9 is a 1:46 athlete outdoors. And he did have to learn his trade there a little bit. 1:49.9. It's got a mark on the board. Something to build on there for the Ethiopian. World Junior finalist last year. But indoors can just be another kettle of fish. We saw that with Jarinta Messiah of Kenya having to settle for second place behind Agatha Guillemot. You can see the athletes just taking to the podium now. Messiah, sub-2 athlete outdoors. Just left it a little bit late here in this race. She was finishing very fast. Hats off to Guillemot. She did save just a tiny bit for that last 30 or 40 metres. I do think she would have been able to respond if anyone had come up on her shoulders. It was a good third place there for Zoya Naumov. It might have been a season's best for the Spanish athlete. But here is heat 2 of the men's 800 metres. Van Nieuwenhuizen in 1. Got Van Riel in 2. There's Pinto. He'll go in 3. Mujenikovic will share a lane with Plaum. Samuel Reardon sharing there with Paul Moyer. And Sven Vandenberg out there on his own. And I did have Jonas de Smet written down as a pacemaker. Let's hope there is a pacemaker there in the field. I've been asked for 51 seconds or so. All fighting furiously to get themselves into the lead. I think Carlo Pinto, no, it's Sam Reardon getting himself into the lead at the moment. I think with Pinto for company in the red, just swinging around the outside. But Sam Reardon has stuck himself to the back of this pacemaker like glue. 25 seconds through the first 200 metres. That's pretty swift, but Sam Reardon likes to run like this. He's a very good 400 metre runner. He's competed for Great Britain in the 4x4 senior team. He's just starting to cut his teeth in those senior ranks that way, but he is a specialist 800 metre runner. I think that's his favoured event. He's second at Manchester in the World Indoor Bronze meeting just a few days ago. He's a 1:46.8 outdoors, and at the moment just sticking to the back of the pacemaker super well. I think that's Jose Carlo Pinto coming through in the red. Sam Reardon seemingly kicking on as the pacemaker steps away, but he's left himself out there to be shot at. This time when he swings round, he will see 1 on the board. These men will hear that bell. Look at them out in lane 3 behind him, trying to jostle for position. 1:20 through 600. Sam Reardon just seems to be doing enough to keep that gap the same. Was that a nervous look behind? That will give motivation to these athletes behind if it was. Pinto just having to give up that brilliant second place, and they're charging round this final bend. Has Sam Reardon saved something for the final 50 metres? He's digging deep. They're coming up fast behind him, but it is going to be a win for Sam Reardon. 1:48.39. Done the hard way. Super fast first 200 metres, and he managed to hold on, finish strongly. And that last 50 metres was crucial for Sam Reardon, but he did manage to hold on. And that was perhaps Paul Moyer there, the athlete from Andorra. And he managed to hold on to second place. 1:48.42 confirmed for Sam Reardon. Maybe ever such a slight indoor PB. It's not come up in the graphic, so maybe it's not. Martin Plaum came through for second place. Paul Moyer had to settle for third. Then the winning margin for Sam Reardon, around about 0.3 of a second. So that leads us on to heat 3 of the men's 800 metres. Hoyes, Vilat, Boygel, Azzedine Habs, Elliot Crestan. What a treat to see Elliot Crestan on home soil. Kevin Veazey, Thibaut de Smet, still the European lead with his 1:45.04. I think it might still be a world lead, in fact. Andreas Kramer ran well in Gothenburg in the week 1:45.9. But Thibaut de Smet, that wonderful victory at the CMCM meeting in Luxembourg, is still the world lead. Elliot Crestan is a canny tactician, though. Made the final at the World Indoor Championships. And he will not want to get beaten here on home soil. Habs just to the inside of him, the French athlete. He's good as well. Kaneko sharing the lane with de Smet. And we've got Nieuwenhove on the outside. I mean, whoever that is, Nieuwenhove on the outside, I do think he's pacemaking, hasn't got a number on. They've been asked for 50.5 to 51 and 64 seconds for 500 metres. Let's hope we don't see a rush of bodies in the first 100 metres we saw on the women's race. That's an aggressive start from Azzedine Habs and some of these other athletes trying to get themselves out of trouble. But there's Thibaut de Smet. How has he done that? 100 metres in, 80 metres into the race, he looked like he was going to get swallowed up. And then after 100 metres, there he is in pole position, smooth running inside of him. And everybody else has got to jostle to get back on terms with Thibaut de Smet. He's a little bit off the pacemaker. All to fight for in this men's 800 metres. I think Thibaut de Smet will be very pleased with his tactics there. And here comes Elliot Crestan. He's run a pretty aggressive second lap here. If Thibaut de Smet relaxes at all, so 51 or so through the first 400 metres, if Thibaut de Smet slows at all when the pacemaker steps aside after 500 metres, Elliot Crestan seems to be poised to close that gap back up into the top two. There goes the pacemaker, drops them off really well. Thibaut de Smet, the world lead, 1:45.04. He came from behind in that race, overhauled Collins Kiprutu in the closing stages. But Thibaut de Smet, can he do a similar performance when he's got the pressure behind him? They come through with 150 metres to go. Here goes Elliot Crestan, world indoor finalist last year. He's running a new 400 metre PB this season, 47.58. 1:44 competitor outdoors, and here comes Elliot Crestan piling the pressure on Thibaut de Smet, but Azzedine Habs of France could have the last laugh. I think Habs has nicked that on the line. He won the Folkestone Indoor Grand Prix 1500 last week, 3:38, 3:31 competitor outdoors. I did think Azzedine Habs could come through with a strong sprint finish with all that 1500 metre strength. Oh, I have to wait till that comes up in the system, because Elliot Crestan must have thought he'd done that perfect. I've been heartbroken to take a look over his shoulder. So the graphic on your screen, I'm not sure that's correct, because the live, where we are live with the pole vault, will have advanced on from 5 metres. I'll try and see if I can give you a more accurate update. I think the bar is up to 5:40, and that could have been Mehdi Amar of France with his first attempt at 5:40. But no time to look at that. We're on to the women's 1500 metres. Do head over to the European Athletics website. There will be a link to all the results so that you can watch along. We have got this women's 1500 metres heat up next. Delia Schlabas, probably one of the ones to watch in this. Also Sophia Thorgerson. She's probably still only 17 or so. The Danish athlete there. Norwegian? Apologies. This caught me. Thorgerson is Danish. Apologies. I've got my flag sorted out. Here we have the full lineup. Just one heat in the women's 1500 metres, being paced at sub 4:09. And that is because 4:09 is the automatic qualifying time for the European Indoor Championships in Istanbul. Haven't said it for around about an hour, but to remind you, That event in Istanbul is 26 days away now. But quite importantly, there are only 15 days left to qualify for that European Indoor Championships. You want one of those automatic times, that would be 4:09 in this event for the women's 1500 metres. Or you want to collect yourself as many ranking points as possible and get yourself into the event that way. So the win was given to Azadine Habs in the men's 800 metres, 1:46.85, just ahead of Elliot Crestan. Thibaut de Smet having to settle for third. And this is the women's 1500 metres. So anything around 66, 67 for each 400 metres would be enough to get you that 4:09 automatic qualifying time. Can see Sophia Thorgerson as mid-pack in red, just out there in lane 2, trying to push herself up into the top 4 or 5. She had an amazing summer, gold in the 3,000 metres, bronze in the 2,000 metre steeplechase on the same day at the European Under-18 Championships in what was really hot weather as well. Sophia Thorgerson, it's all chopping and changing further back in that women's 1500. They're going to have to settle down if they've got any chance of running 4:09. Here is a look at that podium from the men's 800 metres. Thibaut de Smet has got to be a little bit frustrated with that. He knows he's in better shape than that. Perhaps took the bait, set himself out there to be shot at, and pushed on once the pacemaker dropped out. And then I think Thibaut de Smet has tied up a little bit in the last 100, 150 metres. Elliot Crestan looked like he'd timed his sprint perfectly, but Azadine Habs had the last laugh and took the victory. So back to this women's 1500 metres. Pacemaker just working the field towards 600 metres. And I think around about that 140 mark will be very good. I think that is perhaps Dida Sklabas there on the back of the pacemaker. Perhaps not. I will apologies. It's really hard to make out the numbers here. These women just doing everything they can to keep themselves on track for 4:09 1500 metre clocking. Great pacemaking from Marie Bilo. See what they hit there through 800 metres. 2:16. So they have slowed a little bit. 68 seconds per 400 metres. Isn't quite fast enough, but you might expect this field to really lift in the closing stages. You can see Sophia Thorgerson spotting the danger there, moving herself up into second place out of the athletes. There was a gap starting to open up, and Sophia Thorgerson, using experience well beyond her years, to recognise if she didn't leapfrog around that group and get on the back here of the athlete in the lead, she could see a winning position fly away down the track. Sophia Thorgerson of Denmark looked full of running when she made that move. And apologies to the athlete in the lead. I'm not sure who it is, but they're going to have to keep calm under pressure here. 3:09 through 2 laps to go. So there won't be any European qualifying mark from this race, but we could have a really strong battle here for first and second. Sophia Thorgerson, she's just starting to labour ever so slightly. You can see that stride has got a little bit longer. The foot contact, time on the ground has got a little bit longer. I think we could see a strong last lap from the woman out front. She's already starting to pull away from Sophia Thorgerson. They come through the bell in 3:43. Could be well on our way to a sub 4:20 clocking here, which would be a great mark for many of these women. Got some outdoor personal bests around about that 4:15, 4:16, but a lot of these women haven't got that close to that indoors. And it is going to be a strong gun to tape if you don't include the pacemaker win here for our woman in black. See her pushing ever so hard towards the line. So good 4:15.8. Sophia Thorgerson with a brave run underneath 4:20. And we might have the top three all underneath 4:20 there. That was a great run from this woman. And the second she stands up, I'll give you her name and her accolades. Sophia Thorgerson, brave running. Could it be Van Kampen? Nope. Damink running really well. She set a new PB of 4:13 in the CM meeting and won the meeting in Lyon. So it's not an indoor PB for the Dutch woman, but a really well judged, committed race nonetheless. For the win, Ethan Clement here in the men's pole vault. The bar now up at 5:40. First attempt for Ethan Clement. This is him entering the competition. Unfortunately, entering it with a foul, but that's probably to be expected if you've been sitting around waiting forever to get your competition underway. Good to see such a big field and so many athletes getting a chance to compete. I think we won down to probably 9 competitors, I think. Might get our first look at Matt Ludwig, the American athlete. The best on paper with his personal best of 5:90. Straight over to the first heat in the men's 1500 metres. And it will be 2 heats for the men's 1500 metres. There would have been a lot of bargaining for who was going to be in which heat. Very high quality races. They are underway. This first race is due to be pace made at sub 3:40 by Timon Engelbrecht. To pick out the runners as they come round. Heat 1, Luc Le Baron, Christopher Frost Jensen Johansson, Florian Vatherin, Nikolai Marian Komen, Cyril Messermann, Jonas Rien, Nick Marsman, Andreas Linker-Green, Miguel de la Torre and Timon Engelbrecht. They're just making their way through the 400 metre mark there. I'll try and pick it up on 600 or 800 to see how their pace is going. Boubacar Diallo, second attempt at 5 metres and 40. Oof. Red flag for the Frenchman. Not getting his high point anywhere near where he needed it to be, just not really generating that vertical force. 1:30 through 600 metres for heat 1 of the men's 1500 metres. In the background, it's around about 3:45 pace. You can kind of sense that lift there from the pacemaker, checking that he's got the field with him behind. And they have lifted ever so slightly there. Perhaps it was a shade under 90 seconds at first 600 metres, judging by that 100 metre time. We're hoping for 1:57 through 800 metres. That's coming up around about now. Pretty good on the clock. We haven't got many athletes in this heat that have gone underneath 3:40 indoors, if any. Good pacemaking here. Looks like we could be getting at least a kilometre out of Timon Engelbrecht. There he drops off the field. 500 metres left to go in heat 1 of the men's 1500 metres. And they're all just starting to gather behind. You can see Jonas Rien of Finland just maybe asleep. It's in your 1500 metres, you have to pay attention every single lap. And it seemed to me like Jonas Rien just lost concentration there. Let a whole load of athletes past him. The Finnish athlete definitely capable of competing at the front of this field. They come through with 300 metres to go. And it's all change in heat 1. They're starting their kick. 300 metres is not a long way to go in the 1500 metres. Leva Deneri of Spain having his second attempt at 5 metres and 40 centimetres. We will perhaps get a little look at heat 1 of the men's 1500 metres in the background before Leva Deneri starts his way down the runway. And they are kicking hard. Late kick from Jonas Rine there of Finland. He's a great 800 metre runner. Wouldn't be surprised if he nipped past the others on that long home straight. But here comes Leva Deneri for his attempt. 3:43.39. Strong finish in the men's heat 1. Fighting all the way to the line. I think that was Jonas Rine taking the lead. I'll look back at the women's 1500 metre podium. The longer the race, the longer it takes you to be ready for presentation. Padovic awarded with the personal best, 4:21.19. Where's that? Vind. Yes, I think they've missed Sophia Thorgerson off the... I thought everyone else was given champagne. What are they? Oh, we go. Champagne for the winner. They must have run out of champagne for the others. I mean, Sophia Thorgerson probably isn't old enough to drink champagne. Not sure about Vind. It could be that that's what you have to give the junior athletes. Here goes Mathieu Collet. Second attempt at 5 metres and 40. That looked very good. Very comfortable for the Frenchman. Miles over. Business as usual. That's what we'd expect from Mathieu Collet. He's already done 5 metres 65 this season. So on to heat 2 of the men's 1500 metres. This is the heat A. Just wobbles all over the line there. Nerves. And they get away. It looks like they have put the pacemaker on the inside here. No, they haven't. There he goes. Outside pacemaker. And this field have just got to settle themselves down. Trying to navigate these bends when everyone's sprinting like this can be tough going. Ermias Germer just moving himself into the second position there. World Junior Champion over 800 metres last year in Colombia. He has run some good 1500 metres. Picked up a silver at that World Junior Championships. And he's done a 3:36.28 outdoors. I certainly want to watch. Ethan Cormont, second attempt at 1500 metres in... 1500 metres, apologies. 1500 going in the background. Pole vault going in the middle of your screen. Debrief from heat 1 of the men's 1500 metres in the corner. Ethan Cormont, very simple, straightforward clearance. Second time at 5 metres and 40. And we got a bit of a split here in the field. The athletes behind have got a decision to make, because if they start racing each other, a good time is going to disappear. And the win might be already gone. Ermias Germer here, the Ethiopian World Junior 800 metre champion. Double back, picking up a silver medal in the 1500 metres. In fact, I think the 1500 metres was first. I think when you get your CV listed, they tell you about a gold medal before they tell you about a silver. There goes Ermias Germer, past the pacemaker already. Pacemaker has asked for 1:55 through 800 metres, and Germer is on 1:53 there. Pacemaker bang on what he was meant to be. But just couldn't live with Ermias Germer and what he thinks he can do in this field. The rest of the pack giving chase behind. And is that Germer just starting to labour ever so slightly? I don't know. It doesn't look quite as good as he did when he had the pacemaker for company. He's going to come through now with 500 metres to go. That's a kilometre down for Ermias Germer. And if he's judged this incorrectly, there's a big old group working behind to hunt him down. Ermias Germer, 400 metres to go. I think he is out of the junior ranks, but last year he was certainly an under 20 athlete. So he will not have the race experience of those behind him. And he's just got to hold on for another 300 metres and it will be a win for Ethiopia. Is that gap starting to shrink? Ermias Germer, hopefully when he hears this bell, he's going to be inspired and he'll lift his pace. 3:10 with a lap to go. That's not super quick. You think an athlete of Germer's quality would have a big sprint in him, but he's been out there on his own. He's been working hard and he's just given the athletes behind him something to aim at, something to motivate them. Is Germer going to be aware that these athletes are coming? Hopefully he can muster a sprint in this last 50 metres. I do think Germer is going to hold on here. 3:39.78. And I think there's going to be some men in that field behind them. I wish they'd gone with Ermias Germer. He was quick perhaps through 600 and 800 and then just started to slow. As is his prerogative. He is still listed as a junior. It's come up on my system. 3:39.77 for Germer. It was Robin van Riel coming through for second place. 3:40.94. And the very normal sight of James Young lying exhausted on the track. I got a close view of that last week when he raced in Manchester. But that was Robin van Riel. 3:40.94. Tim van Verbandert, also of the Netherlands, 3:41 for third. Amir Rouhani, looks like he's passed at 5 metres and 40 and gone up to 5 metres and 50 in the men's pole vault. The bar due to go up in 10 centimetre increments until this point to 550, and we're looking at 555, 560, and then 5 centimetre increments after that. So Mehdi Amar Rouhani only came in at 5 metres and 30, took him 2 attempts to get over that, and then he's passed at 540. Ricardo Klotz, he's got a nice scorecard, first time clearance at 5 metres and 20 and 5 metres and 40. Matching Matt Ludwig, 2 first time clearances as well, 5:20 and 5:40. Ethan Cormont entered at 5:40, took 2 attempts. Just starting to whittle down this men's pole vault field. It happens so quickly. I think they're fine, fine, fine. You've got loads of them. And all of a sudden, it's down to 4 or 5. That graphic there on your screen has skipped out Germer. He was the winner. Van Riel was second. Verbandert was third, but they probably know that. That's Tim Verbandert. Tried to pull the field back on terms with Ermias Germer. Kind of paid for it in the closing stages. Robin van Riel nipping through for second place. And what looks like champagne or some other local fizzy wine as a prize for all top 3 men there. Ermias Germer taking the top position, taking the maximum prize money, taking the maximum points. And that sets us ready for the women's 60 metre hurdles final. We will have 2 finals. This is the B final. Lindbeck, Nor Kokal Corden, Loris Balvens, Anastasia Davis Norwitz, Malika Amini, Angul Agavazi and Emma Denaya. So I think Norwitz was the first woman out of the final. So if that's, if the form book goes to plan, we should see Norwitz be really competitive in this B final. Anastasia Davis ran well in her heat as well. Just to remind you, if you weren't here for the heats earlier on in the evening, Norwitz, of course, the world indoor champion last year in Belgrade in the pentathlon, seems to be just finding her feet here in Ghent. Had the shot put competition. It went okay. I've seen her do a season's best already this season of 8:40. She lowered that in the heat, so that 8:38. Some other high quality athletes in and around Norwitz. The A final will follow on straight away after this. So organisers are back on schedule. And the women's 2 finals run now, followed by the men's 60-metre hurdles final. And then both the 60-metre flat finals, and then we'll finish up the programme with a 3,000 metres men's race. Looks like we are missing lane 5 down there. And that is Norwitz. So unfortunately, the multi-eventer choosing not to line up for a second race today, but sure her and her coach know what they're doing. So there's Lindbeck in lane 1, Nor Kokelkoren in lane 2, Doris Bowens in lane 3, Anastasia Davis in 4, empty lane 5, Malika Amini in 6, Angel Agwazi in 7, and Emma Denaya in 8. That is Ricardo Klotz having a first attempt at 5 metres and 50, ruining his nice clean scorecard. What's going on here? I'm having a reshuffle of the lanes, which quite frankly is going to give me a big old headache if they I wonder if that is in response to Norwitz withdrawing. It's just quite, I mean, this is good. This is what we get frustrated at sometimes, that you don't want to see an empty lane in the middle of a heat, but it's still empty. Okay. That's, maybe they were in the wrong places. Okay, that looks like they are the right. So what I read out before was wrong. These are now the correct women in the correct lanes that were in the graphic on your screen. Phew, apologies if I confused anybody with what I read out before, but that's got to give these women a bit of time to readjust their starting blocks. But you can see, thanks to that number there in lane 1, that is Lindbeck. And I was thinking Kokelkoren had that top on. She also had long leggings in her heat. She had a super fast start, the Belgium in lane 2. Came under pressure a little bit from Loris Bowens, I think, in her heat. So we could see a fast start again from Nor Kokelkoren. Certainly a good tactic in the sprint hurdles. I think Loris Bowens and Anastasia Davis are just a little bit down the track doing their final warm-ups. Anastasia Davis making her way back to the correct lane. Just waiting for Loris Bowens. Anastasia Davis, 8:31, one of the fastest in this field. Malika Amini right up there as well. She's done 8:33. Angel Agwazi in lane 7 and Denaya in lane 8. The B final of the women's 60-metre hurdles. Fast start again from Kokelkoren. Can she hold on a little bit longer this time? Here comes Anastasia Davis. I think she clipped that third hurdle and left the door open for Malika Amini. It was a win there for Alika Amini from lane 6. The Serbian athlete came through really well. A mistake there from Anastasia Davis. She was just getting into her running. Still being rewarded with second place though. So got herself back going really well. Nor Kokolkoran, great start, being given the third place. 8:41 for Malika Amini. And the win in the B final of the women's 60 metres. And that will be a season's best by 100th perhaps for Malika Amini. Good personal best for Kokolkoran, and I love her start. Certainly one to watch. She can hold it together for those final couple of flights. Nor Kokolkoran could be one to watch. Back with the men's pole vault. Mehdi Amar Rouhani, second attempt at 5 metres and 50. Not sure that's him. Maybe it is. Yes, it is. So that's 2 failures for Mehdi Amar Rouhani. He's the first athlete to have failed twice. No one clear yet at 5 metres and 50. Passes from Ethan Cormeau and Matt Ludwig though. Here is the A final of the women's 60 metre hurdles. Alicia Barrett in 1, Awasene in 2, Yumi Tanaka in 3, Diana Suman in 4, Maika Chinalim in 5. She was the quickest in qualifying, her 8.1. There's Diana Suman, 8.16 for her, winning her heat. And Zagra goes in lane 6. Chinalim is getting announced to the crowd. 8.0 clocking earlier on this season. Could we see Maika Chinalim dip under 8 seconds? She looked great in qualification. And Zagra looked good as well. Came through for second in that heat. Jenna Blundell, second British athlete, goes in lane 7. 8:23, her best time this season. And completing the lineup in lane 8 is Monika Zapalska, German athlete. So Barrett in 1, Sene in 2, Tanaka in 3, Suman in 4, Chinalim in 5, Zagra in 6, Blundell in 7, Zapalska in lane 8. The women's 60 metre hurdles final. Late rise there from Alicia Barrett. There has been a false start. Could be a faulty start. I wonder if Alicia Barrett didn't quite hear the starting orders. And maybe the official choosing to restart the race. Has been given a false start to Monika Zapalska. She doesn't seem to really agree with that. It was a very quick decision from the officials. Zapalska, as is her right, we'll go and take a look at the scoreboard there. She had a personal best of 8 seconds 13. Zapalska's a very experienced athlete. You can see that little red line there on her screen. That appears to say it's lane 6, but then the time there of under 0.1 of a second being given to Zapalska. It's kind of implying something might have been going on with Anne Zagra in lane 6 as well. But being a middle distance athlete, I'm not necessarily an expert at reading those start graphics. Monika Zapalska being sent on her way. We are down to 7 athletes in this women's 60 metre hurdles final here in Gent. The IFAM indoor meeting. 2 60 metre finals to come up, 60 metre hurdles for men and the 3,000 metres for women. But this is the conclusion of the 60 metre hurdles for women. Chinalim in lane 5, the fastest in qualifying. And they're away this time. Fast start from Saini in lane 2. She did that in her heat as well. But here comes Mika Chinlalim. Can she drive all the way to the line? It's 8 something. It's not going to be underneath that magical 8 seconds. And Mika Chinlalim, is kind of limping through the line there as well. I do hope she's not hurt herself. 8:09, faster than she did in qualification. And it is the win. Diana Suman running 8:13. I think that's going to be a second personal best for Diana Suman of the evening. 8:16 in the heat, 8:13 in the final. So a good outing for the Estonian. Mika Chinlalim converting her fastest qualifier from the rounds into a win here in the women's 60-metre hurdles. I think it could be Yumi Tanaka through for third place. 8 meters, 8 seconds, 18. Been a good week for Yumi Tanaka. Personal best in Ostrava on Thursday. And then not too much slower than that. And a nice third place here for the Japanese athlete. Back with Mehdi Amar Rouhani. Third and final attempt at 5 meters and 50 centimeters in the men's pole vault. Amar Rouhani just taking his time at the start of the runway. So Amar Rouhani, he's just pulled up there. He's not even made it to the bed. I mean, I can't make out a countdown clock, and I do wonder the fact that he did plant his pole there. I mean, I know you're not meant to touch the mat in high jump, but there's no urgency there from Amar Rouhani. You can imagine if he was going to have another attempt, he'd be rushing down there to try again. It gives us a chance to have a look at the podium for the women's 60-metre hurdles. And again, I think the graphic has robbed us there of Tanaka. I think that graphic is the wrong way around. I think Tanaka did take third place. Diana Suman second place. Go, Tanaka getting her prize. Not just bottles of fizz on offer, World Athletics ranking points as well. So that will matter for Tanaka as she looks towards the World Championships in Budapest. But for Diana Suman and Mika Chinlalim, who haven't hit the automatic qualifying mark for Istanbul and the European Indoor Championships, that will be some very welcome ranking points for the Estonian and the Dutch women. Third and final attempt for Ricardo Klotz at 5 meters and 40. And he just not really making a proper attempt at that. So at the moment, Ricardo Klotz is in joint second with Matt Ludwig. Mathieu Collet, the only athlete over 5 meters and 50 so far. So he's been given the lead at the moment. Ethan Cormont and Matt Ludwig have passed. So Ricardo Klotz is out. We've also lost Mehdi Amar Rouhani. And here is Alouin Sene. He has got one last attempt at 5 meters and 50 as well. He'll be up next. The graphic there just confirming that Ricardo Klotz is out. Two finals to come in the men's 60-metre hurdles as well. This is the first one. Robin van Dam, Kenthro Totta, Sam Vasulis, Rico Cottel, Vincent Vernet, Jelle de Jong. They will be in the first heat. and Eben de Grisi there at the end. Always brilliant that these athletes get 2 attempts. We talked about Piers Krasowska's new world lead. We also had a new world lead from another European athlete, Jason Joseph, the Swiss athlete, taking the men's 60-metre hurdles world lead, 7 seconds, 0.51, the new national record. Did that over in Maglingen in Germany, in a venue that I'm being told translates in English to as End of the World Hall. In German, End der Welt. In England, we'd call that End of the World. Not the most inspirational place to go and run, but Jason Joseph nonetheless managing to get a world lead. I don't think that will be travelled in this field. We have got some quality athletes coming up in the second heat. And these athletes all ran really well. There were 4 or 5 heats earlier on, condensed down into this A and B final. See the athletes just doing their final few runovers in the background. Next up will be the 60-metre women's final, and then the 60-metre men's final, and then the closing event, 3,000 metres men's heat A. So Robin van Dam goes in lane 1. He has got a personal best of 8:15. This is his first competition of the season. Kenro Tother in lane 2. I'm sure he would have enjoyed seeing Diane Suman take silver in the women's event, the fellow Estonian athlete. Everything being put in place absolutely perfectly for this men's 60-metre hurdle race. They will have raised those barriers up all the way to 106.7 centimetres. The bar in the men's pole vault is at 5 metres and 55. Lever Donner, I think that's just a first-time failure. He passed at 5 metres and 50. He'll be in there to fight it out. I think only around about 4 or 5 men left in that men's pole vault. We will do this first men's 60-metre B final. Robin van Dam, not the WWF wrestler. He is a 60-metre hurdler in 1. Just 5 starters by the look of it in this B final. Quick start from Rico Cottel of Great Britain there. Can he hold it onto the line? Oh, and he stumbles over the last couple of hurdles. Leaves the door open for Vincent Vernet of France. The man there in the red and white vest. I think he did pick up the pieces. Vasilier won his heat earlier on this afternoon. Bit of carnage there in the men's 60-metre hurdles. We haven't had replays here at IFAM, the indoor meeting here in Gent, but it's been great camera work, great coverage, seeing so many of the field events as well. So Kenro Tother of Estonia being given the win here in the B final, 8:17, exactly the same time as Vincent Vernet, the athlete in lane 5. Looked like he was going to power through for the win. Robin van Dam getting 3rd place, 8:33. That was the B final. There's going to be a bit of a wait before this A final because there's a whole lot of hurdles to get put back up. There are hurdles falling all over the shop. These men will just take a moment to readjust the starting blocks, do their final bit of practice. Dylan Kate in lane 1, Timo Costa in lane 2, Anton Levin in 3, Shuhei Ishikawa in 4, Max Hirelia in 5, Job Gerds in 6, Eli Bakari in 7 and Matthew Behan in lane 8. That's your full lineup. Max Hirolia was the fastest qualifier in Heat 1, just ahead of Shuhei Ishikawa and Job Gerds. They tied with 7:88. Dylan Kate won his heat in 8:07. Matthew Behan was second in that Heat 2. They were the slowest of the athletes to make it into this final. Did super well in Heat 2. Anton Levin took 4th place in Heat 1. So a lot of these athletes did get underneath 8 seconds in the opening round. I'm sure they'd love to take another chunk off, get down towards the 7.7s, 7.6s in this final. We saw Tanaka of Japan take 3rd in the women's event. Ishikawa could be poised to do well here in the men's event. The fastest in the field with 7:57. Here is Dylan Kate of Belgium. PB is 6 years old, 7:81. I'm sure he'd love to get close to that. Time Costa goes in lane 2. This is his first competition of the summer, of the spring indoors. Anton Levin of Sweden is in lane 3. And there's Shuhei Ishikawa of Japan in lane 4, semi-finalist at the World Championships in Oregon. Perhaps the favourite here for the title at the IFAM indoor meeting. Max Hirolia of Sweden goes in lane 5. He was second at the Our House sprint and jump meeting. Job Gerds in lane 6 from the Netherlands. Season's best of 7:94. And then Eli Bakari, multi-events background, did do the decathlon in Colombia at the World Junior Championships. Here he is over higher hurdles. Just doing the one event here today, but another multi-event star from Belgium. And completing the lineup in lane 8 is Ireland's Matthew Behan, 6-time Irish champion, season's best of 8:22. It's the final of the men's 60-metre hurdles. Ishikawa of Japan goes in lane 4. He is the fastest athlete on personal bests, flanked by Hirolia and Levin. And the race to the first hurdle is on. It's very level pegging here in the men's 60-metre hurdles. And here comes a late charge from Max Hirolia. Has he snuck the win from Shuhei Ishikawa? And what about Eli Bakari out there in lane 7? That was a brilliant run from the athlete from Belgium. Eli Bakari is just 19 years old. So the win did go to Hirolia. And Ishikawa had to settle for second, way under the 8-second mark. And look at that, Eli Bakari celebrating a personal best, 7:86. Brilliant running from the multi-eventer. He's already set personal best this indoor season in the 60 metres, 60-metre hurdles, high jump and long jump. And it's another one for Bakari here today in Gent. I think that's the in-stadium announcer trying to chase down Eli Bakari. That's someone you'd want to hear from if you were a Flemish athletics fan. But the win goes to Sweden with Max Hirolia. Really well judged closing flight to claw back in Shuhei Ishikawa of Japan. 7:73, 7:76. And then a bit of a gap back to Eli Bakari, making himself the best of the rest to grasp that third spot Anton Levin also under 8 seconds there in fourth. Back to the men's pole vault. Isidro Leva Doneri, third and final attempt at 5:55. Oh, nearly, so nearly muscling that out. I think Leva Doneri attacking that really well. Speaking straight away to his support team. They will build on that. Passed at 5:50, so ultimately I'll have to settle for 6th place. Isidro Leva Doneri. Quick passing out of the fizz. Could it be beer? I think in this part of the world they do love their beer, and they do sometimes hand it out in larger bottles like that than we get to see in the UK. Max Aurelia with the win ahead of Shuhei Ishikawa, and a very pleased young Eli Bakari nipping into that third spot. So that brings us round to the women's 60-metre final. Just 3 track events left. 60-metre women final, followed by the 60-metre men's, followed by the 3,000-metre men's A. And we've got that men's pole vault just wrapping up on the infield. Denaya in 1, Van Bussel in 2, Gussens in 3, Healy in 4, Sleeman in 5, Uller in 6, and Estasio in 7. So we will have an A and a B final for this women's 60 metres. And that is the B final. Many of these athletes competing this weekend might have a weekend off next week, and then they will turn their attention to their national championships. The national championship window, kind of advised by, I think perhaps now enforced by the likes of European athletics and world athletics, just to make it easier for the whole calendar to align. That will take place on the weekend of the 18th and 19th of February. Here is that B final. Looks like it could just be 4 competitors. So we have got Denaya there in lane 1. Doesn't match up to the starting, the bib number I've got on my system for Denaya. We'll just have to trust that it is, because everything else looks like it's in order. Emma Van Bussel there in lane 2. Justine Gussens goes in lane 3. Joan Healy takes lane 4. Fellow Irish woman beside her, Lucy Sleeman, goes in lane 5. Miriam Uller goes in lane 6. And completing the lineup for Greece is Artemis Anastasio. She'll go in lane 7. So Joan Healy, Lucy Sleeman in the middle, splitting up a pair of Flemish runners. Bit of a national championships going on for Ireland in the middle. It's the B final of the women's 60 metres. The A final there, patiently watching on. Good start all round. Joan Healy perhaps rising first. Emma Van Bussel looking good in the second half, but it is going to be an Irish win. Lucy Sleeman with a strong second half, pulling herself ahead of Joan Healy. Sleeman looking a little bit shell-shocked there. 7:39 for Sleeman. I think it will be second for Joan Healy. Emma Van Bussel did put together a good race. Lucy Sleeman is listed as a junior, as is Emma Van Bussel. So good running from the youngsters here. Lucy Sleeman 7:39. Joan Healy coming up as 7:41 on my system. We go. First look at Matt Ludwig. We haven't seen him for a little while. Passed at 5:50, passed at 5:55. He's got his first attempt at 5 metres and 60. Let's look at our start list for the A final here at the IFAM indoor meeting in Gent. This is our penultimate. No, it's not. I'm teasing you. We've got this, then we've got the men's. Probably got 2 finals in the men's as well. We've got loads more action for you. And that 3,000 metres men's race is due to get underway any moment, really, just as soon as we get these 60-metre finals out the way. But the A final will have Jamil Samuel, Leonie van Wilt, Demi van der Wildenberg, Rani Rossius, Delphine Nkanza, Nkita Sedo, Rani Vinnick and Elsa Mehus. Nkanza, I think, was one of the fastest in qualification. Jamil Samuel, pretty sluggish out of the blocks, but we could see a lot more from her here. Got that bronze medal last time round in Torunja at the European Indoor Championships. Jamil Samuel would not have liked to have to rely on a time to make this final. But sometimes that's just what happens when you start your campaign. People like to call it a rust buster. Some find that term a little bit offensive, but I don't know, perhaps Jamil Samuel to get a bit of a rust buster in the heats. We could see more from her here. Van Wilt there in lane 2, Van der Wildenberg in 3. Rani Rossius is so excited to run that PB in qualifying underneath that automatic qualifying time for the European Indoor Championships. Delphine Nkanza hit that as well in the qualifying rounds. Nkita Sedo of the Netherlands goes in lane 6. Rani Vinke of Belgium goes in lane 7. PB here last week, PB here this week already. Could she get another one in this final? And that's Elise Mehus of Belgium, another athlete that just seems to be getting better every time she steps on the track. She'll go in lane 8. This is the final of the women's 60 metres. So Rani Rossius in lane 4. Could she run another personal best here in the final? Delphine Nkanza, the fastest athlete in the field. Nkita Sedo in lane 6, certainly one to watch as well. Fast start from Jamil Samuels. That's a lot better than her heat, but it's not going to be good enough for the win. It's a strong charge from Nkita Sedo across the line just to take the win ahead of Nkanza and Rani Rossius. I think Nkita Sedo put together a really good race there. Still just 19 years old. Such a good junior. Her personal best of 7:24 is the area under 18 record. But that was from 2020. Nkita Sedo. That's a really good senior performance. And the win, in fact, has been given to Nkanza. We have seen a few corrections as these results go up. You see Sedo there looking a little bit unhappy with that. They've been given the same time. Nkanza and Sedo both 7:21. And there you see, there's a bit more of a smile from Sedo once she's seen the time. That's okay. Nkanza personal best 7:21. Sedo personal best 7:21. Rani Rossius couldn't make it a second personal best of the day, but it's still a good third place. Great running there from the women in the 60 metres. Nkanza and Sedo given exactly the same time, 7:21, down to a photo finish. Mathieu Collet, second attempt at 5 metres and 60 centimetres. Oh, that was better. There was some height there for Collet. Not a million miles off 5 metres and 60. He passed 5 metres and 55, but everyone did. So there won't be much to play with there. Right, so Delphine Nkanza was given the win. It was a home win for Belgium. 7.21 it's been rounded up to, but look at that. 2 thousandths of a second between Nkanza and Saido. Nkita Saido finally breaking her indoor personal best. That stood for 3 years, and when you're a young athlete, you start to feel like those fast times might never be beaten. But at the 19 years of age, it's great to see Nkita Saido back in PB form. It was a good third place there as well for Rani Rossius, rounding out a good day. And that brings us on to the first heat in the men's finals. This is the B final in the men's 60 metres. Leo Morgan goes in lane 2. Jeriel Quenu in lane 3. Cedric van der Graaf in 4. Hensley Paulina in 5. Valentine Hornet goes in lane 6. Keithero Oosterwolde in 7. And Oyema Adegida perhaps phoning someone at home and saying, yeah, no, I am still here. I made the B final. But Adegida just settling himself back down now. So just one false start so far over these sprint races. Not trying to jinx it, I promise. I just find it super impressive when there's all those nerves, all that fatigue, that our athletes have maintained such brilliant discipline. Let's hope it carries on through this B men's 60 metres and then that A final coming up. You can see the men patiently waiting behind. And they are away first time. Hensley Paulina perhaps getting the best start, but Oosterwolde driving hard on the outside. And Adegida, did he just nip it on the line? It's hard from that camera angle. Let's see what the cameraman down there thinks. He was close to the action. He's kind of hovering around Hensley Paulina. It was certainly close. Come up on my system as Hensley Paulina. 6:83, season's best. Hensley Paulina will be pleased with that. That race had a little bit of everything. Oosterwolde was looking really strong towards the closing stages, but so was Adegida. Maybe that's who he was on the phone to, saying, tune in, I think I'm going to do quite well. They've given second place to Keithero Oosterwolde, 6:85, same time as Oyema Adegida. Equal personal best for Adegida, season's best for the other two, and a 1-2-3 for the Netherlands. Matt Ludwig, second attempt, 5 metres and 60. Oh, that was way over. That was nice for Matt Ludwig. Look at that quiet card as well. Just the 2 first time clearances, 5:20, 5:40, then passed up to this 5:60. Has taken him 2 attempts, but that's probably been a break of around about 30-35 minutes between the 5 metres and 40 and the 5 metres and 60 centimetres. Mathieu Collet have his third and final attempt at 5 metres and 60 centimetres. Here's the start list for the A final in the men's 60 metres. Thomas Maurice of France in 1, Christopher Sibanda of Ireland in 2, Elvis Afrifra of the Netherlands in 3, another man from the Netherlands, Raphael Bougie in 4, Ryuichiro Sakai of Japan in 5, Reese Prescott in 6, Jacobi, Vlemenic in 7 and Riek de David in lane 8. Reece Prescott, 660, kind of the man in form. He wasn't the absolute fastest in qualification. That was Sakai with his 665. Raphael Bougie was second fastest, 667, and then Reece Prescott was the third fastest in qualification, 669. Explains the lane draw there for a little bit. If you are thinking, why is Reece Prescott 993 outdoor competitor, 660 already this season? Only, I say only, in lane 6, but his race will have been drawn on the results from those heats earlier on this evening. All to play for here in this men's 60 metre final. Maurice in 1, Sibanda in 2, Afrifa in 3, Buju in 4, Sakai in 5, Prescott in 6, Vlemenic in 7 and David in 8. Automatic standard for the European Championship, 663. Can any of these men give that a bit of a scare? Low start there for the Japanese athlete Sakai, and it's been fast, but here comes Reece Prescott. He's going to charge through this field. It is a win for Reece Prescott. It wasn't the best of starts. It was better than average. It was certainly good enough, but Reece Prescott just comes into his own in the second half of the race. That's why he's so good over 100 metres. Picked up medals at the European Championships there. 6:59, a brilliant season's best for Reece Prescott. Been rounded down. Any time someone runs under 660 is special. Sakai having to settle for second place with that low, fast start. And third place going the way of Raphael Bougie. So each of the winners from the opening heats occupying the first 3 spots. But we did expect there to be a bit more from Reece Prescott once we got into this final. Certainly not disappointed. 5:59. And that is a third and final failure for Ethan Cormont at 5 metres and 60. Because of his pass at 5 metres and 50, that will only be enough for 5th place for the Frenchman. There is that confirmed result from the men's A final. Reece Prescott, 6:59, season's best, one of the fastest times in Europe. We have had a few men underneath that, 6.6. Ryuichiro Sakai in second place, 6:66, and Raphael Bouju, 6:67, equaling his season's best. Elvis Afrifa in 4th, equal personal best for Riek de David, down in 7th. Tidying up the podium here in the women's 60 metres. Rani Rossias rounding out a nice evening's work. She did get that European automatic qualifying time in her heat and backed that up well with a third here. Nikita Sido breaking her personal best that stood since 2020. The 19-year-old picking up second here. And Nkanza of Belgium getting a nice local win and a PB. Can they all fit on the top step of the rostrum? Yes, they can, with their nice prizes. Smiles all round from the women's 60 metre final. This moves us on to the final track action of the evening, the men's 3,000 metres. I think these men are going to have more than half an eye on the 7:44 automatic qualifying mark for the European Championships. That's a tough mark. We won't see that many men go underneath that this indoor season. And we've had some super fast races over in the States so far and a few in Europe. But it's whether those athletes are planning to go all the way to Istanbul. So as fast as people can go today, the faster the better, as always, but also in terms of getting themselves off to Istanbul. Reece Prescott just climbing over his competitors to get to that top step. Everyone posing nicely for the camera. Bougie and Sakai trying to squeeze up there with Reece Prescott. Couple of very accomplished pacemakers on the outside there, Hamish Carson and Peter Jan Hans. Very, very good athletes in their own right. And they've been asked to bring the field through in 2:35 per kilometre, which would give you sub 7:45. Alghani Mohammed, who's down there in this field, he's done 7:47. Alistair Kinlock on the inside there. Joel Ibelalesso in the middle somewhere. And Alghani Mohammed, I think they're just in the blue Nike strip, pushing himself to the fore. There goes Peter Van Hans and Hamish Carson. They'll be getting themselves up there. I think that is actually Mohammed there in second place. Joel Ibelalesso getting himself into third. That's a good 33 seconds through the first 200 metres. I'll try and keep an eye on splits and the kilometre times. Hamish Carson has represented New Zealand internationally a great number of times. He will know how to pacemake himself. Hamish just gapping the rest of the field at the moment. 62 through the first 400 metres. I do think that's okay. That's pretty good pacemaking from Hamish Carson. 64 seconds is 8-minute pace. And if they're looking for about 7:45, they are going to need to be significantly underneath 64 seconds. Peter Jan Hans, indoor record holder for Belgium over the 1 mile. He's just in second place at the moment. Hamish Carson has just been caught up by Peter Jan Hans and the rest of the field. I'll have a look at Matt Ludwig. First attempt at 5 metres and 70. Oh, it's there. Definitely feel like that clearance is there. Drifting over a little bit to his left-hand side. Here's Hamish Carson, 2:04 through 800 metres. So he has run 62. Nice and even from the Kiwi. If they come through in the next time, we will have a look at the first kilometre split. They're aiming for 2:35 per kilometre. Hamish Carson coming through 2:32, 2:33, 2:34, 2:35. Hamish Carson, bang on the money. Anyone that knows him will not be surprised. Let's hope we see him in a race of his own for himself very soon. I think that gives it absolutely everything to try and represent his country. We're left now to Peter Jan Hans. Moved his way through the distances so well as an athlete. Really good, over 15 3K, now more of a 5K cross-country runner. He's going to have to go deep here if he's going to help these men. That's a good 32-second clocking there as they're making their way into this second kilometre. And that's what you want to see from a fast race. Single file down the track. I do think that's Alghani Mohammed in second place behind Peter Jan Hans. And Joel Ibelalesso in second place for sure of the athletes. Past that, I'm going to struggle a little bit, I'm afraid. Apologies to the men down there running their hearts out. So 3:37 from Peter Jan Hans. That is through 1,500 metres. No, it can't be through 1,500 metres. I'm getting overexcited. That would be too fast. I think this might be the 1,500 metre split coming up here. So that has them on around about 7:48 pace, which would still be very good running for these men. I think that is Alghani Mohammed who's taken up the running ahead of Joel Ibelalesso. Alghani Mohammed, 7:47 competitor. host of good men in this field that are probably up there running their hearts out without me being able to quite tell which one is which. So as they come through the bell this time, not the bell this time, the lap counter this time, you can see they have 6 laps left to go. So the 2K split will be coming up when they come round next time. We were hoping for something round about 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And we have got another athlete that's pushed themselves to the front. This athlete here clearly thinks that the time is going to slip out of their grasps if they don't keep moving. Probably felt like the field was slipping ever so slightly. That's fantastic. 5:12 through 2 kilometres. They're just a whisker outside of the prescribed pace of 7:45. But if you run a 3K well, if you build your momentum in the second half, you can certainly get back that time. And it does look like that's what these 2 athletes in the lead are trying to do. And suddenly, as you keep running and you keep ticking off these laps, it starts to get easier and easier. This time round, they will see 4 laps to go. If they can just keep the pressure on these times. So that's a good 30-second clocking. That's great running from these men. 31 seconds perhaps for that 200 metres. So they are kicking hard. They are lifting their pace. 5 minutes and 12 seconds through 2 kilometres. How fast can these 2 men navigate the last few laps? 700 metres to go now. And it is down to, you think, just 2 men running supremely well. The athlete in the lead with the white chest just leaving the gap open there for the second athlete to come through. He's done that on purpose. He wants help with this pace. That was a 62-second 400 metres. That's okay. It's good enough, but they've got to keep going. This time round, it is 500 metres to go. That is half a kilometre. These men will have done so many reps, so much longer than this. It's brilliant to see 2 men at the front of the field working hard, exchanging the lead, taking blows. This will be 2 laps to go this time round. 6:45 on the clock. A 60-second 400 would give them 7:45. A 59-second 400 would get them underneath that automatic qualifying time for the European Championships. That's 7:44 dead. That is such a tough time, but these men are absolutely going for it. That's 300 metres to go. This time round, they will see 1 lap to go. And it is just going to be a flat out race between these 2. 7:44, the time they're hunting for. They exchange the lead again. 7:15 on the clock. This is totally on. If they can muster a lift, if they can muster a kick, we could see a sub 7:45 clocking here. And that would be brilliant. Not only have we got a fast time, we've got a race on our hands as well. These men fighting it out. I really hope that could be John Heymans in the second place from Belgium. You could see the cheer on there from the pacemaker alongside him. And these men are kicking hard for the line. They are going to be agonisingly close to that automatic standard for the European Championships, ultimately outside it. But what a brilliant clocking there from these 2. It is John Heymans there, second place, did so much of that effort there to lift the pace. And I think that is Alghani Mohammed lying there on the floor. If he can roll over and put me out of my misery, that would be just great. But oh, it's special to see a time that far underneath 8 minutes. Tremendous effort from those 2 men at the front. John Heymans already ran a new PB in Lyon with 7:50. And he's gone even faster. Okay, Bastien Augusto is coming up on my system as the winner there. I'd taken a punt at the fastest man on PBs in the field with 1 pushing the pace. And it was a bad punt, so apologies to Bastien Augusto. He's got a personal best of 7:56 and he has just obliterated that by 12 seconds. He's not even opened his season yet. And he has got himself super close to that automatic standard. Massive 5-second personal best for John Heymans there in second place. 7:45.48. Ismail Debiani being rewarded with third place. 7:49. And Alghani Mohammed in fourth place in 7:52. So many men under 8 minutes there. Bastien Augusto was brave. He went with Hamish Carson. He went with Peter Jan Hans. to give himself a shot at that automatic qualifying time. But you'd hope, with the fact that this is a World Indoor Tour bronze meeting and that Bastien Augusto was super close to the qualifying time, that might give him enough points to get to Istanbul, to the European Indoor Championships. John Heymans as well. That could be enough to see. I don't know. If you're interested in athletes that will qualify for the European Championships, please make sure you go over to the European Athletics website. If you go to the designated page for those indoor championships, there's a tab called the Road to Istanbul that will give you the live standings in every single event, those that have qualified by time and those that will be hoping to qualify by rankings. Bastien Augusto, John Heymans and Ismail Debiani have given themselves a great shot there in the men's 3,000 metre heat, the one and only heat for the men's 3,000 metres here at the IFAM indoor meeting in Gent. We do think we've still got Matt Ludwig down there jumping. He had a second time clearance at 5 metres and 70. And I'm unsure whether he's setting the bar up any higher. So I will pause just for a moment, because if anybody is still interested in pole vault action, I certainly don't want to cut you short. It has been a fantastic meeting here in Gent. It's been wonderful for these European one-day meetings that have been awarded World Athletics Indoor Tour status to work with European Athletics to make sure they can get themselves live streamed so that fans can tune in and get as much of the action as possible. It's been a great evening. Brilliant to see Reece Prescott dipping underneath 6.6 seconds in the men's 60 metres. We have got Matt Ludwig attempting 5 metres and 82. The American athlete has been out there for a long time. He's already bettered his season's best of 5 metres and 60 centimetres. His 5 metres and 90 personal best, his outright personal best, came in 2020 at the US National Indoor Championships, February 2020. And we all know what happened in March 2020. The whole world shut down. I do wonder, an athlete like Matt Ludwig, who really captured his very best form in that February, would have been left wondering what would have happened if the World Indoor Championships had gone ahead, but they didn't. And Matt Ludwig have perhaps left wondering what could have been if he could have taken a 5 metres and 90 clearance to the World Indoor Championships. But great to see him here in Ghent attempting 5 metres and 82. Second place went to Mathieu Collet, by virtue of a better scorecard up to 5 metres and 50. Matt Ludwig, 5.82 first attempt, hits it with his feet on the way up. He will have 2 more attempts though. Matt Ludwig will take his time, going through his final 2 attempts. And great to see the other competitors waiting out down there with him. You can see on the scoreboard just at the end of the runway there, see you at IFAM Outdoors. There is a brilliant IFAM outdoor meeting. It's usually around about the end of May. It has, again, like we have today here indoors in Ghent, a whole load of heats that run all day long, giving tremendous competitive opportunities to local athletes and internationals as well. It's very, very popular with the European community. See the presentation of the men's 3,000 metres. Ismail Debiani ended up with 3rd place. Yeah, just been told you might have done 15 laps of the track, but please can you do a little bit more and get yourself over there? So it's the indoor opener for Debiani, national record holder for Belgium over 1500. It's 3:33 in 2021. Looks like we've perhaps lost John Heymans. He's going to miss out. Should probably put Peter Jan Hams or Hamish Carson up there to collect the bottle of what I'm assuming is alcohol, largely because it didn't get handed out to two of the junior athletes. They should probably donate that to the two pacemakers that did a fantastic job. Everyone's kind of looking off screen like they might find John Heymans, but no, he's probably gone on his warm down. Obviously there he's getting interviewed by, I can only imagine, his local TV, which leads just Ismail Debiani in third and the Frenchman Bastien Augusto. Oh, there he goes. John Heymans still got enough energy to jog himself over to the podium. Great race here at the IFAM indoors for this men's 3,000 metres. It's hard to get together a quality men's 3,000 metre field and for it all to come together like that. 2:35 first kilometre courtesy of Hamish Carson. 5:12 through 2 kilometres. And then a really good ding-dong battle between Heymans and Augusto. Almost looked planned the way they were changing the lead every 200 metres. And both rewarded with really fast times. Good bold effort from Ismail Debiani as well. If he's a 1500 metre specialist, he probably cautious through those opening 2 kilometres and then realised he could finish it off really well. So we wait for Matt Ludwig to take his second attempt at 5 metres and 82. Just remind you some of the highlights. We had Lavia Nielsen of Great Britain winning the women's 400 metres in 52:44. It was the season's best for her. Mihai Sorendringo of Romania took the men's 400 metres in 46:59. So Matt Ludwig just chalking up. Max Aurelia of Sweden took the men's high hurdles in 7:73. Here goes Matt Ludwig, second attempt at 5 metres and 82. Not as good, you've got to say, not quite as solid as his first attempt. Matt Ludwig just reliving in his head what he should have done differently. It's good to see Sam Kendricks back in action recently at National Championships for the USA. Even though they haven't got an indoor championships to target for this season, they will still have their national indoor championships. I think that could be Matt Ludwig signalling that it's the end of his competition. Having a look at the footage. Matt Ludwig just discussing the position you plant the pole at. So important to generate that horizontal force into the speed into the pole, into vertical force. If you get it slightly wrong, you just kind of fall flat like a pancake. Okay, maybe there is one more attempt left in Matt Ludwig. Ludwig just, I don't know, making himself some notes. Do you think by indication that the pole wasn't put away in a bag? The officials are all still there. Just wonder what that flipping there of the number back down to 5:55 meant. Reminiscent of Nicole Dermott. Oh, Ollie Slagger's now married, making notes in between jumps. But yeah, still energy drinks going in the mouth. Matt Ludwig certainly doesn't look like he's packing up to go home. He will take his third and final attempt at 5 metres and 82. Ludwig taking his time, doesn't seem like he's adjusted his run-up marker or anything like that. Seems like the adjustment's going to come more in the pole plant than anything else. Third and final attempt at 5 metres and 82 for Matt Ludwig. Surpassed his season's best of 5 metres and 60 already. So it'll be enough to put him joint 6th on the world rankings this indoor season. Sam Kendrick's there on 5:82. Probably why this 5:82 has been chosen by Matt Ludwig. Again, good effort there for Matt Ludwig. Gave it a go. Certainly good to see him in good form and here winning at the IFAM indoor meeting. So that does conclude our action here for the evening. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage on the European Athletics YouTube channel, and we hope you've enjoyed the extensive coverage we've managed to have over this indoor season. As I said before, just 26 days to go before the 2023 Istanbul European Indoor Championships. So the action is going to keep coming thick and fast for the next 2 weeks as our athletes try to qualify, and over the next three and a half weeks as we look towards those European Championships. So for now, I've been Hannah England, and it's been lovely to talk you through this action, and I wish you the rest of a lovely weekend and evening.